scored, it didn't matter because of the forward three. This Burmo and Sean have caused Crystal Palace so many problems throughout the game. What a game it was, Jonathan.
Yes, it was. Palace's 12th season in a row in the top line. Starts with an advantage on their first in 8 games. They haven't started as well as they finished last season. Or better to Brentford. They won here, Steve, by 2 goals to 2.
Yeah, he said before the game, Thomas Frank, we've done it before without Ivan Toney, we can do it again. It is only one game, but they've certainly made that point today, Stephen.
Yeah, they had to make sure they got off to a good start. They knew Crystal Palace, the format they were in at the back end of last season. They'd want to try and continue that momentum into this season. We'll talk about how they play, but also from Brentford's point of view, they were being bitterly disappointed how the season went last season, and they know how imperative it is to get a good start this season, and they've done that today.
And the opposite is true of Palace, isn't it? With everything going on, with all the noise swirling around, with all the interest in Morgan Wood, key player, the last thing they needed was a really slow start. Well, it's not really slow start, they played alright, but you know what I mean.
No, they played well, they just didn't have that killer instinct to come to goals, just a few passes, just decision making at times, but that can come down to a little bit of rustiness. But Steve, the one thing that Crystal Palace would have wanted at the back end of last season was a break. They were in magnificent form, they would have just thought to themselves, we can carry on as long as we can. But that break off the box momentum, and that's what's happened today.
Grayson, guys, thank you very much. Stephen Warnock and Jonathan Pearce. Brentford 2, Crystal Palace. What a great start to the season for Thomas Frank, who is walking round all sides of the stadium now, applauding the Brentford supporters. Hopefully, we will hear live from him before kick-off at Stamford Bridge. And obviously, the question's going to be asked around Ivan Toney, whether or not transfer interest means something more significant and something more tangible. Meanwhile, on BBC 2 and on 5 Sports Extra, you can listen and watch commentary on the finals day in the 100. A little bit later on, we've got Oval Invincibles men against Southern Brave men. The first final, Welsh Fire women against London Spirit. And it's being watched by our team, no else.
It is indeed. The Welsh Fire have taken a big wicket already. They're defending 115, which isn't a huge total on a brand new wicket here for the final at Lords. But they've taken a huge wicket. Delivery knocking her stumps over. The London Spirit 17 for 1 after 20 balls. They need a further 99 to win this game and their first ever 100 title.
Thank you very much, Atif. Full time in the first game of this Magic Weekend was Lee 26, Salford 0. No rest though. We're about to get underway in Catalan Dragons Hull KR, Sharon.
Yeah, and this one, Steve, I'd say is really top of the bill of this afternoon at Ellen Road. Catalan Dragons a little inconsistent, but they could go forth with a win this afternoon. Hull KR, if they keep their excellent run going in Super League, could find themselves back at the top of the table by full time in this game. Rovers have won 9 of their last 10. The last defeat was against Catalan Dragons. We're expecting a good one with this one, Steve. Kick off just a few moments away.
Thank you, Sharon. We're expecting a good one in half an hour's time as well in the Premier League. Chelsea versus Manchester City. Huge statement, quite literally being made by Raheem Sterling and his team. We'll tell you about that and Enzo Maresca's reaction. And then at some point, we'll get round to the football, all after the news with Joe Critchin.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Israeli Prime Minister is accusing Hamas of being obstinate in negotiations over a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Benjamin Netanyahu is calling for more pressure to be put on the Palestinian group ahead of a new round of talks this week. The American Secretary of State is due to arrive shortly in Israel. Here's our Middle East correspondent Jenny Hill.
The ceasefire and hostage return deal is considered key to stopping the Gaza conflict
Friday.
This is 5 Live Sport
With Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1, full-time score in the first of our two commentaries. Next up then, in just under half an hour's time from Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Manchester City. And for the second time today, John Murray, I have to say, where do you want to start?
Well, I know where to start now, Steve. Teams have been named. There was always likely to be a story surrounding someone who was left out by Chelsea because of the sheer size of the squad. And so it is with Raheem Sterling, who is not included in the Chelsea 20 today. And as soon as that news was confirmed, the team news, a statement was released by Raheem Sterling's representatives, effectively expressing his disappointment. Not necessarily what Enzo Maresca needed, landing in his lap an hour before his first Premier League match as Chelsea's head coach, I would say. Do you want me to read out the pertinent parts of this statement?
Go for it, yeah, why not?
It says that Sterling's contracted to Chelsea for the next 3 years. Quote, he returned to England 2 weeks early to conduct individual training. Has had a positive pre-season under the new coach, it says, who he has developed a good working relationship with. He is committed as ever to delivering the highest level for Chelsea and the fans who he holds in the highest regard. And given his inclusion in official club pre-match material this week, our expectation was that Raheem would be involved in this weekend's fixture in some capacity. As a count, we have always had positive dialogue with and assurance from Chelsea FC in relation to Raheem's future at the club, so we look forward to gaining clarity on the situation. And then it finishes by saying, until then, we will continue to support Raheem's desire to start the new season positively. So, there we are. Good luck with that, Enzo Maresca.
Well, I've got a quote from Enzo Maresca, which we can bring you in on that now. He said, it's just a technical decision, nothing else to say. Managers are paid to make decisions. Sometimes players don't like it. Discuss.
Jeremy came out with strong time and wanted statement.
I knew it. I knew you would. How did you send that?
Or possibly carrier pigeon. No, absolutely not. That's nonsense, right? So what you have to do is you have to take out all the words around it and read what it says. How many 3 years that's my contract? I've been working hard. I've done nothing wrong. I'm not asking for a contract. We better talk. Okay, that's what that said. Those are nice words around it, but that's what that said. More than that. But when you're looking at the wider term, what's not going to go? What's not doing well? Sterling may feel that Charles is another one to look after to some degree. Sterling looks like he might be the next one on the block. Manager said that's not the case just now. But Chelsea are desperate to get some business done and get some money in, get rid of some of those numbers as quickly as possible before that winter shuts. And the fact that that came out so quickly after he was not named for this group, for this squad today, Chelsea, Raheem was ready for it. He can't see it coming. So we shall see what happens. I'm already, definitely, I may be wrong, I'm already in the line thinking, who can afford him? Looking upon his wages, no one paid that money for him.
Yeah.
Other than Saudi Arabia, I don't know. I really don't know. So I might be a little bit early to go for that. But looking at what happened already to Gallagher, to Chilwell, to Chalobah, as I say, to others, and he's not finished there either. So, it's just the Chelsea working just now, just to get the money in just now. It's a pretty extreme way to do it, and the player feels painful and hurtful when you, as Raheem Sterling was making it very clear here, he has worked very hard and he's conducted himself well. He's returned from 2 weeks early, and I ain't done nothing wrong with him. The thing he's done wrong is he didn't forget season last season.
Yeah.
And that's it.
10 goals in 43 games last season.
Yes, there you go. 10 and 43. That makes it sound a lot better than what it was. That one against Ryan didn't have that kind of season last season. You have to be honest about it. You often do go to these simple goal statistics and think that's the absolute reason for it. But if you look at that group there, you've got Madu, Kuka, you've got Madueke, you've got Palmer, Juice, the Hawk, who's playing in those areas as well. You've got far too many players in those areas. In simple terms, it looks to me like they've made a decision. And the decision is not to Raheem. From one stage, he was being by the Chelsea fans.
Yeah, I was here for that game. Now, again, Jimmy Jury kept on going, maybe too much. And that day, look, this isn't an abuse of Raheem Sterling. Let's see the reasons why these things are happening just now. But the problem you've got 41 people on your squad. They're not all going to be happy. Right now, Raheem Sterling's not happy, Gallagher's not happy, Chalmer's not happy. There's going to be a few more. And that can cause problems to the manager.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a knock-on effect here as well, Pat, which is Chelsea have not proven themselves to be very good at selling players. They know how to buy them. They're not very good at selling them. And what I'm wondering is, given the impact this will have on anyone trying to recruit Raheem Sterling, who presumably will now think, well, after all this, perhaps it should be an easier deal, if it comes for us to do. Does this actually help him get a move, or not, if that's what he wants?
Brilliantly said. And once again, for yourself, what he's done is made him possibly cheaper to buy as, it's not going to be 100 million quid or 50 million quid. It'll be a lot less than that because they can see they're buying inverted commas damaged goods. However, does it mean he's going to get less money? No. Mr. Kimball, he's already said the top words of that statement, the very top words of that statement. Raheem Sterling is contracted to Chelsea Football Club for the next 3 years. That's code for I'm owed all that money. Yeah. Now then, I ain't giving it up. So he's not losing anything out of this. So I think this is actually quite clever by Raheem and his inverted commas people, whoever they are. One of them happens to be sitting 10 yards away from me just now.
I tell you what, John, it's a good job that they're not trying to sell any of the players they put on 8 or 9 year contracts, and there's quite a few of them.
Yes, there are, and don't forget Romelu Lukaku is still a Chelsea player, not involved today. Shall I run you through who is actually playing again? So the Chelsea team that's been picked by Enzo Maresca. Robert Sanchez is in goal. Gusto, Fofana, Colwill and Cucurella on the back four. Then Caicedo and Lavia, with the captain today, Enzo Fernandez. Reece James, remember, the club captain, is on the injured list. And then Cole Palmer and Nkunku either side of Nicholas Jackson. So that means, for all the various comings and goings, there are actually no debuts for Chelsea in the starting lineup. Many of the raft of new signings are on the bench. So Neto's substitute, Dewsbury Hall's there. Guiu, the young Barcelona striker. Adarab Yo-Yo from Fulham. And the goalkeeper, Philip Jorgensen, who was an injury down. He is actually named among the subs. So that is who is involved for Chelsea today. And while I'm on, the Manchester City team, just 3 changes from the side that started the Community Shield. Ederson in goal, Lewis, Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol, the back 4. Then Kovacic in place of the injured Rodri. So Kovacic with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva either side of him. And then rather excitingly, Doku and Savinho, who does get a debut. This is his Premier League debut, the Brazilian, either side of Erling Haaland. So no Oscar Bob, obviously he's got that broken leg. What a terrible literal break that was for him this week. There's no sign of Joao Cancelo for Manchester City. And as I say, Rodri, we don't know how long it will be before he is able to play.
Issue that Chelsea have got, Pat, before we talk about the actual football, which is the fact that people will perhaps remember over the summer that there was an incident where Enzo Fernandez apologised to his teammates because he was caught on video making a racist chat with Argentinian teammates. He's the captain of Chelsea Football Club today, and just looking at social media, that's not going unnoticed that either.
Yeah, but the manager has to look what happens to the dynamic of the team. What has maybe happened inside the dressing room is he's had to go, possibly, to go and speak to every one of the players that were particularly upset with that, and look at seeing him in with them.
What have explained at centre back?
Exactly, Fofana. And he has to go and apologise for that. Now, to be honest, many things happen within football teams, and if you apologise, try to explain it, say how wrong you were, you're not fully forgiven right away, but there's an understanding if you behave yourself and do the right things, you can be reintegrated within the group. That can happen. We shall see if that's happened here. But then, if you didn't play Enzo and you left him out, that would almost make it even more difficult to bring him back in for the next one. So So I can't understand why the manager thought I've just got to do what's best for my football team here. But you're right, the problems throughout the pre-season caused by that were extraordinary. This is Chelsea Football Club. So they're taken by events, my dear boy. It's another event happening every week, and they kind of have to move on.
Yeah, well, we talked about Chelsea since 4 o'clock. It's now nearly 13 minutes past 4, and this is going to be the first mention of any football. We better actually talk about Manchester City first in that regard, because we haven't really touched on them yet. As a winger, Pat, looking forward to seeing Savinho for the first time.
The whole thing, Savinho and Doku and Cucurella and Gusto, actually all four of them, love them all, right? So they're all good players, all attack-minded players, directly against each other. And the way they set up, so we don't know what the system is going to be with Chelsea today. I suspect they'll go 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, that kind of finish similar way. But what I do expect is for Gusto and Cucurella to be the fullbacks to be facing a couple of lineups. And honestly, the game's got plenty of things that will be exciting today. We're not talking about Haaland, but just those two battles will be intriguing enough in themselves. The other thing about this game today, it should be open. I mean, I hope I'm not making myself a hostage to function here, but come on, this has got to be exciting. There's so many hooks up. The open way that Chelsea have generally played through the pre-season, always trying to play it from the back, feeling it's not incredible at the time, it has to be said, but still wanting to do it. And of course, Manchester City playing the way they always do. You've got De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, plus the three attackers we've mentioned there. There's so many options in this game. But you're right, the wingers. By the way, you talk about wingers, I've mentioned before, Sterling not in because you've got Kunku, Madueke, Mudryk. I forgot about 50 more £4 billion netto as well. There's millions of them there.
Yeah.
So
Joao Felix is being talked about as well, I think.
Who I will not hide from the fact to Dor as a player, a fabulous player. So, Chelsea are like a kid in a sweetie shop. As soon as something's available, I have to go and buy it. The problem is, the finances come home to roost at some point in time. And at the moment, it all seems a bit panicky, a bit mad. See, by the end of this transfer window, if they've got rid of a whole bunch of the players they want to get rid of, they find themselves with the ones that they've got, and maybe one or two more, including Joao Felix and a centre forward as well. You just never know. It could be fantastic, but then it took 2 years to organise it, for getting the same £1.2 billion so far, so it should be close.
And let me just underline as well again that Manchester City's England men are all on the bench. Foden, Walker and Stones, who went all the way to the final with England in Germany this summer. So they are substitutes. They only started training again with the first team squad this week. And also on the substitutes bench, Jack Grealish, who was unable to play a part in the Community Shield last weekend. So they are all among the Manchester City substitutes.
Yeah, we had Kyle Walker on the Monday Night Club, didn't we, John? And he was talking about Jack Grealish and giving, as you'd expect him to do, his full backing for this new season ahead, which is a really big one for Grealish.
Yeah, of the matches that I've done this season, I think every team has had 1, 2 or 3 players for whom you would say this is a big season for them. And certainly Grealish, because of the end product really last season, only 3 goals and 3 assists from the 36 matches that he was involved in when he was actually on the field. And when you've got now Savinho and Jeremy Doku as your contenders for a place in the team, he simply will have to up his game and up his output.
The one thing I'd add to that, if you're a wide attacking player, you need to go beyond players. You need to break the lines, i.e. dribble past people. He just stopped doing it last season. He wasn't doing it at all last season. And I remember people saying, that must be Pep telling him not to do that. Doesn't seem to be telling Savinho that, does he? Doesn't seem to be telling Doku that. Jack, you've got to beat people. You've got to go beyond people. You've got the skill. You've got to take those chances, those risks. You do it, Pep Guardiola's got a new £100 million player back. And it's important.
Last we heard, it was Celtic 2, Hibs 1 in the Scottish League Cup. Pat Nevin will have his ear on this. There's been another goal, Ailey.
And it is now Celtic 3 hit and forced the mistake. The bypass to the goalkeeper was pretty soft. The keeper tried to clear it and he just cleared it straight on Nicholas Kuhn and the ball bounced into the back of the net. So Celtic with one foot very much in the quarterfinals. It is Celtic 3 hits 1.
There's always next year, Pat.
It's not been a good start for the Hives. I think we're going Dick mean the other one, Kilmarnock Motherwell, two teams to play for as well. And the other game's going on just now. But Celtic, funnily enough, in what Ailey was saying there about Maeda closing down, he did exactly the same against Chelsea in the pre-season and got a goal from that as well. And we were wondering if Chelsea just ain't very good at playing from the back. In actual fact, that lad Maeda, he can catch pigeons. He's fantastic.
If I can add, John, to a big season for with like a new signing, which is another one of my favourites, enter Mark Cucurella, Euros winner.
Well, I thought you were going to say Romeo Lavia.
Well, take your
which
pick.
the same would apply in midfield, the former Manchester City man. But yeah, Mark Cucurella, who started 6 of the 7 matches for Spain, a big part of that team, played a really big role in the final against England, set up the winning goal for Oyarzabal. Remember, he did miss a lot of last season because of injury. He had an ankle injury, had an operation, I think he did. So, for him, and I think with Ben Chilwell out of the picture as well, he is the undisputed starter at left back for Chelsea.
And I actually think, Pat, that Lavia might be the most interesting Chelsea player today. And there's some competition in that, but he was actually signed a year ago to the day, August the 18th, 2023. And for obvious reasons, this is his first start.
Do you know, Chelsea fans will look at that, think, oh yeah, a lot of money, big expectations, other clubs wanting them. And then you think, yeah, but they said that about Caicedo, they said that about Enzo as well, in very similar positions. And although done okay at various points, neither of those two players have lived up to the hype beforehand. But Lavia, it might happen for him. There's every chance he's been starting in this game. He's playing probably the position that's most suited to him. So yeah, he is a very interesting one. I don't think he is the most interesting one, because any time Cole Palmer walks on a field with a blue shirt on, he's the most interesting player in that football team by miles. And let's hope he's the player he has grown up to be, for not just Chelsea's sake, but for England's sake. He can actually keep getting better, because if he does, he'll become one of the best players on the planet. But yeah, Lavia, interesting one. But keep to see how they play today. Go back to Cucurella. I just always liked him as a footballer, because he always wanted to keep on playing. He is the most like a spaniel of any football player you'll ever see in your life, but in a good way. He keeps on going, he keeps on getting in there quick, he's so excitable, he chases everywhere. There are some mistakes and some daft things. And you know what? He's also very, very lovable as well. So, yeah, Cucurella, a player who will always entertain you. You didn't used to say that about left backs.
There you are, Steve. Footballers who look like their dogs.
Yeah, there's a podcast in there somewhere, I'm sure. It'll be available shortly on BBC Sounds. The other thing is, it's about the personnel in that Chelsea midfield, Pat, but obviously it's also about the manager as well. And what's interesting is, obviously having won the league with Leicester last season, the style of football wasn't particularly popular with Leicester fans, even in a season when they won the league. So Chelsea fans are going to be expected to be entertained here as well.
Well, if you watch the pre-season games of Chelsea, they maybe want to be entertained slightly less than they were, because they were so ultra concerned about playing out from the back, pushing the full-backs into midfield, and they weren't good enough to do it. They get caught time and again against Manchester City, over in America, and against Celtic as well. And it was just too open. It seemed a wee bit daft. So if they want to be a bit sensibleness, more than anything else, right at the start of the season, we should see if that actually happens. But I don't think you can put with that group of players and it'd be boring. So, we will see how it goes, and we're not judging by this. The weird thing is, Chelsea supporters, the watch our pre-season games, expect extreme openness and extreme excitement. But I'm not sure we'll be as open in this game. I think good sense will come into it here. And that 4-2-3-1 system that's put out there is, it tells me that it's not going to be the 5-4 that I was hoping for. It might only be 4-3.
Right, let's take you back to Magic Weekend at Ellen Road, Catalan Dragons, Hull KR, Sharon Shaw.
And we've had the first points of this game, Steve, and they've gone to Hull Kingston Rovers. A little against the run of play, but Elliot Minchella went through from a lovely pass from Jai Whitbread. Mikey Lewis couldn't have the conversion. That bounced off the upright. But after, I can't see how much time we've got left now in this game. The clock's disappeared off the screen, but it's Catalan Dragons 0, Hull Kingston Rovers 4.
Thank you. The early game finished Lee Leopards 26, Salford Red Devils 0, Huddersfield Giants against Castleford Tigers. It's the last game of Magic Weekend at 6:30. This is the last game of our Premier League weekend. Of course, this is the first game back in the Premier League for Enzo Maresca's first club. Well, yeah, it is actually. Leicester City when they play Tottenham on Monday. This should be absolutely fascinating at Stamford Bridge this afternoon. We haven't even touched yet, John Murray, on Erling Haaland. 40 goals last season. I suppose if he's going to be asked to improve something, it will be his numbers against the very best teams in the Premier League.
Well, those terms, we really are nitpicking, aren't we? Because I felt that because he had that spell out injured in the middle of the season, and also because his numbers were in comparison to his first season. Remember, 52 goals in all competitions in his first season, which was, broke the club record. So the last season he scored 38 in all competitions. Premier League top scorer again with 27. And when he's on his game, when it's his day, he is just devastating. And I felt last week when we were watching him in the Community Shield about this doesn't feel like good news for Chelsea, and he's had such a quiet day at Wembley in the Community Shield.
I'll never forget, Pat, when he made his debut for Man City against Liverpool in the Community Shield. He didn't play particularly well. Darwin Núñez was brilliant, and all of a sudden the narrative became, will Darwin be a better signing than Haaland? Well, here we are.
That didn't last long.
But we know he is the best striker out and goal scorer on this planet, by some distance as well. The howevers are very few and far between, but the howevers didn't actually finish last season very well, did they? They kind of tailed off a wee bit at the end of last season.
Right.
The numbers were big before that. I'm not going to I want him after that behind Thiago Silva. Not here anymore. His intent to the two that there. Remember, pushed over to Varela. He will fly forward, so they've got their hands full with Haaland.
Certainly do, and we are nitpicking with Erling Haaland, but that's exactly what he'll be doing about himself as well ahead of another big season. Let's take you back to Lords and the final of the Women's 100. Oh, there is a big wicket. Melissa Story.
Well, there has been. London Spirit, they need 60 of 44 balls. They lost 3 wickets in that chase. Meg Lanning bowled early by Shabnam Ishmael. Cordelia Griffith was dismissed for 10. A partnership of 31 between Captain Heather Knight and Georgia Redmayne was growing, but just now, Welsh Fire brought their strike bowler back into the attack. Ishmael gets the big wicket of Heather Knight, and it just looks now like things could be back in the balance for this Welsh Fire team who are fighting back. 60 runs needed for the London Spirit, 44 balls left.
Thank you very much, Mel. You can watch it on BBC TV. You can listen to it on Bein Sports Extra. We'll have reaction at half-time to Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1, but the teams are in the tunnel at Stamford Bridge. Biggest fixture of the opening weekend of the new Premier League season. Chelsea versus Manchester City with Pat Nevin and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, welcome and good afternoon from inside Stamford Bridge. The sun is shining and the champions, Manchester City, are here in the capital for the beginning of their latest defence of the title. And here they come, Manchester City, champions for 4 years in a row, led out by Kevin De Bruyne, Ederson walking out behind him. And meanwhile, to his right, Enzo Fernandez leads out Chelsea. Another new beginning at Stamford Bridge. And you have to say, it's a daunting task for Enzo Maresca's first Premier League match in charge here at Chelsea against his old amigos from Manchester City, where he was a part of the Pep Guardiola
success story before he went off to Leicester and led them back to the Premier League last season. I'm looking down there to see if there's a greeting between them. It's never the easiest here in Stamford Bridge, just getting to my feet. And if he hasn't seen him yet, I'm sure Enzo Maresca will soon be greeted by Pep Guardiola down there. But the teams are out, the fireworks have gone off, we've got smoke in the sunny, warm air, and Enzo Maresca, I can see, has taken his seat on the bench. Very stern-faced. It's a serious business, Pat.
Yeah, big one for him. I mean, anybody starts a new job in this he's been in a while. There have been other games that build up to this. The first game, every eye is on you and the squad thinks and the team thinks and madness is going around them just now. And then all you get is players like Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. So, big call today for Maresca. And they're having a big hugging and cutting.
Yeah, he's climbed off his seat and he's walked across, and there's a handshake and a brief embrace between the two look-alike managers, Pep Guardiola and Enzo Maresca. And if you have just switched on for the match, Enzo Maresca, who's had landed in his lap a statement from Raheem Sterling. As soon as the team news was announced, Raheem Sterling's representatives on seeing that Sterling is not in the team, not on the bench, have said they are not best pleased.
Yeah, but that's the first row. That's it. You started the ball wrong, sorry. Ignoring him. Chelsea wants to get rid of a number of players. Yeah, got a whole well of wide attacking players, which is more than it was. Because it looks likely that he could be put on the notice there.
So Raheem Sterling, and it'll add to the unhappiness against one of his former clubs, Manchester City. Don't forget that as well. So these are the teams that Enzo Maresca. Actually, there are no debuts of all of the comings and goings for Chelsea. He's gone with Sanchez in goal, Gusto, Fofana, Colwell and Cucurella, then Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo Fernandez, who is the captain, then Cole Palmer, star man from last season, Christopher Nkunku. They'll hope that he's able to stay fit for the season, and Nicholas Jackson up front. So no debuts in the team, but on the bench, Pedro Neto, Dewsbury Hall, Guiu, Adoram Yo-Yo, and goalkeeper Jorgensen. So we'll probably see a Chelsea debutant at some stage. And for Manchester City, Edison, Luis Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol, then Kovacic, with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva either side, so there's no Rodri. And the three Premier League matches that Manchester City lost last season, Rodri was absent from all three. And then the exciting front line of Doku and Savinho, who will be making his debut in the Premier League, either side of Erling Haaland, who today makes his 100th appearance for Manchester City. They're number 9. Foden, Walker, Stones, Grealish, all on the bench. And before we get underway here at Stamford Bridge, there is applause around the ground as the players take a knee. Then Anthony Taylor blows his whistle, and with the fireworks smoke clearing, off we go. Chelsea against Manchester City. Manchester City begin the defence of their Premier League title. World Service listeners join us here on this warm West London afternoon as well to see what will unfold here. It's a daunting task for Chelsea, and they'll need all the support, they'll need everything they can to go their way. But
well, first of all, they're actually going to play that, playing out to the back Chelsea, the two centre backs and the two wide defenders going right up the pitch. So it leaves you very, very few options. It's exactly what they did against Man City at the start of the season, the pre-season game. It didn't work then. Let's see if it's going to work this time.
Yep, already this month, Erling Haaland scored a hat-trick against Chelsea, and they beat them 4-2 in Columbus. Now that was a pre-season friendly. This is the real thing. Here's Lewis for Manchester City to the byline on the right-hand side, but his cross is straight into the side netting. He was stretching for it. The youngster, the right back, with Kyle Walker on the bench. I guess we might well see them at some stage, but they've had only a week in training since coming back after going all the way at the Euros.
It's one of those things, they've kept yourself ticking over as much as possible, but you have to allow the niggling injuries to at some point clear up. So Pep Guardiola will give them as much rest as he possibly can, but I think he'll need them at some point in this game.
So it is Chelsea in the blue shirts, blue shorts and white socks. It's rather strange design on the shirts this season, as Fofana goes back to goalkeeper Sanchez, all in orange, who hits it long and left-footed out of play on the halfway line.
Didn't you fancy playing that out?
Not with Haaland bearing down on it.
And that's the point. They know exactly what Chelsea are going to try and do here. And Chelsea have tried to do that. A lot of teams are doing it, but Chelsea have been doing it in a very unusual way under Maresca. But at that point in time, Sanchez thought, no, I'm not going to take a chance.
Chelsea with Cucurella, hair all over the place as we were used to seeing at the Euros, heading the ball away. Here's Lavia, the number 45. Must be a great feeling for him to be involved after his injury difficulties. The former Manchester City youngster who was signed from Southampton and made just one substitute appearance last season, Lavia. Here is Savinho involved for the first time over there on the left-hand side for Manchester City. He is the debutant in the Manchester City team. De Bruyne finds him on the left flank. Here's the cross, which is deflected up into the penalty area but drops into the gloves of goalkeeper Sanchez to catch it.
It's just the ease in which Manchester City got themselves into a position to put a cross in there. It wasn't a good cross in the end. Gusto got in the way of it, but that's what that man in the middle, Haaland, wants, as many crosses as possible.
Yeah, and I think with Doku on one side and Savinho on the other, surely there will be a delivery that comes Haaland's way and has him licking his lips.
Well, that's maybe the question that he would have asked himself at parts of the last season, the latter part. The build-up was so slow, was so deliberate. It took so long to get into the wide areas. The defences were always ready for him, were always marking him. He would love it just now and again for one of those wingers to get the ball in, sipped in quite quickly from the byline.
Unforced error by Akanji, passing the ball out of play, throwing to Chelsea. And that's Pat Nevin with us here on 5 Live in the World Service. We're also on BBC Sounds as well if you're on the move on this summer Sunday afternoon. That's given away by Fernandes. Straight to Haaland, that's dangerous. Doku on the right-hand side now. Doku chips it right across, and for a moment there I thought that might drop into the far top corner, but it went beyond the far post and behind for a goal kick.
Do you know what? Had he got that right there, Haaland had got into space at that back post there, completely and utterly free for a little tap head in at the back post, but he got too much into it. It was closer to scoring than finding Haaland. It's an oddly quiet start from Chelsea, isn't it? They haven't got over the halfway line yet, and they're the home team.
Yeah. That is Pat Nevin, former Chelsea man, twice Chelsea's Player of the Year. Long ball from the back from Colwell, and that lands for Nkunku down the left flank. Lewis comes across. Lewis gets a foot in. Cheers from the Manchester City fans. Nkunku was quickly back onto it though. Plays it infield. Lavia, square from him. Caicedo out towards the right-hand side. Here's Cole Palmer, man of last season for Chelsea. European final for England, right at the end of the last campaign, but to no avail. Palmer back towards Caicedo. Now Gusto on the right flank. Palmer makes himself available. The former Manchester City man. Remember the match here last season, unforgettable, the 4-4 when Palmer scored the late penalty in the 5th minute of added time to make it 4-4. Gusto now on the right. Gusto's cross is closed down, blocked behind. Though what is given by Anthony Taylor as a goal kick to gasps from the home stands.
From this angle, it did look like it should be a Chelsea corner kick. Assistant referee was in a very good position there. But it's the first time, we're 5 minutes into the game, it is the first time that Chelsea, actually, it should have been a corner kick. We've just seen a slow motion of it there. Assistant referee got that one wrong, didn't spot it, but first time Chelsea have got good possession, held it well, and got into a wide area.
Yes, didn't do Anthony Taylor any favours there. He's not one of Chelsea's favourite referees, no. Anthony Taylor, and fans don't forgive quickly. If you remember, he sent off Mateo Kovacic of Manchester City when he was playing for Chelsea in the FA Cup final, and Chelsea fans have never forgiven him.
No, absolutely not. In fact, his name was mentioned 3 or 4 times by Chelsea fans and other people around us before the game. You don't often mention the referee when you're talking about players, but they take it personally.
Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0 with 6 minutes on the clock. What's happening in the latest match at the Magic Weekend? Sharon Shortle.
Well, it's a tight one, John. 7 minutes to go, and it's Catalan 4, Hull Kingston Rovers 8. Bailey Sirinen levelled the scores for Catalan, and then just minutes later, Peter Hiku hit back for Hull KR. Neither tries were converted, so it's Catalan's Dragons 4, Hull KR 8.
Chelsea in possession inside their own half, following the games, the the big matches in the 100 today. They're on Sports Extra, BBC Two, and big matches as well in the one-day cup, the semi-finals, with Somerset setting a big total for Leicestershire, and Glamorgan likewise for Warwickshire. So I'll let you know what's happened in those matches as Cucurella goes all the way back to Sanchez on the edge of the penalty area. Sanchez just puts a foot on the ball, and it's not being gung-ho from Enzo Maresca's Chelsea by any means. Long ball downfield and Kunku won't reach that. It's out for a throw-in to Manchester City.
It's happened twice in a row now. Chelsea have tried to play the ball long. This time it was goalkeeper. Previously it was Colwell tried to play it over the full-back. Now, I think they think Rico Lewis, he's not slow, but Kunku is rated very, very highly for his pace. So they've tried it a couple of times. Hasn't quite come off yet, but you can see that's the tactic that Chelsea want to use.
Yeah, clearly that is something, and he's standing down there with his hand on his chin, Enzo Maresca. He's gone for tracksuit trainers, and to his left, Pep Guardiola, all in black today. Here is Savinho, turns 10 yards inside the Chelsea half, through to Bernardo Silva, who hits the shot, but it's deflected. Defender came across, Levi Colwell, so it is a corner, first corner of the match to Manchester City.
Very smart by Savinho. He drags players there, real intelligence. He knew where the players would be running. You just look up the way he plays there. I think him and Silva could really work well together because of their match intelligence.
Yeah, Julian Alvarez is gone, but they've got Savinho, and he looks like a real box of tricks. Kevin De Bruyne with the corner to the back post. Anthony Taylor spotted an infringement. It's a free kick Chelsea's way for a foul by Haaland.
I hope they look at that, because I'm not sure who pulling was for. Haaland's fallen into the goalkeeper there, but Enzo was just grabbing Haaland like a rugby tackle. You know, it's one of those ones, if you look at it, I mean, the foul there was given to... That shouldn't have been a foul for Chelsea. No chance.
Same time, Haaland, you know, you have to do more than that to knock Haaland off his feet. Fernandes, that's a good ball for Chelsea, for Gusto, whose low crosses is blocked by a sliding Guardiola. Corner to Chelsea now at the other end.
Just delightfully open. Look, it's not exploded yet as a game, but it's so open, it's so long, there is so much space. There's so many good players here.
Palmer takes a quick corner, and now the left-footed cross is scooped goalwards by Wesley Fofana. It was, between the penalty spot and the edge of the area, who went for something spectacular after it was curled in by Palmer, but it was high and wide by probably 5 or 6 yards. Goal kick.
It is interesting, you know, the managers know, or the coaches know each other very, very well, and you know, the systems are trying to play here, are trying to match up, all that sort of stuff. But the weirdest thing is the huge amount of space in midfield, because the defenders, when they're playing at the back, the attackers are pushing away far up, which leaves 2 or 3 midfielders sometimes for the entirety of the midfield between themselves. There's a massive amount of space in there. It's so unusual.
It's Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0. Five Live and the World Service from BBC Radio mentioned the fact that Lavia is finally making his first start for Chelsea in a competitive match, so his competitive full debut. Fofana's another one. This is just his 21st appearance for Chelsea because of the problems that he had with injury after his signing from Leicester. He has Doku on the right-hand side. Doku takes on Cucurella. This is going to be a great contest. Then he pulls it back, and then Cucurella snaps in like that Spaniel you were talking about. Actually, a little bit more aggressive than a Spaniel. And Fernandes plays it out to the far side to Palmer. That's won back by Savinho. Now it's Palmer chasing back on Savinho over there. 2 great young talents. Guardiola square from him. Lewis central. Lewis works it to Doku. Right side of the area. Left foot. And he miscues it and hits it well wide. It actually went out of play closer to the corner flag than the goal kick.
Yeah,
Chelsea.
But, I mean, what a very good play. I mean, actually, every time Savinho touches the ball, he looks pretty impressive, doesn't he? It looks like they found another classic, you know, certainly Manchester City type player there. But you're right about that battle between Doku and Cucurella just now. It's a joy. Cucurella will not stop tackling, will not stop getting forward, but neither would Doku stop trying to take him on. And there are great one-on-ones between the two of them.
Yeah, just to clarify again, Savinho on the left-hand side, Doku on the right. a number of matches being played at varying times up and down the countries, up and down the leagues. We're going to go very shortly to Bolton, but Chelsea win the ball back on the halfway line on Nkunku. Now here's Enzo Fernandez. Fernandez looks to play the ball right across field. He does, onto the left instep of Palmer, who brings it down, and then Palmer back centrally. A turn centre field for Chelsea by Caicedo, then back to Cucurella, and Chelsea are now testing Manchester City. This is the most meaning that we've had from them, the longest period of comfortable possession for Chelsea inside the Manchester City half. Still 0-0. Palmer through the middle to Jackson. Palmer gets it back, goes between two City players, and then in comes the tackle. In comes the challenge from Kovacic. Excellent, great work from him to win it back from the dangerous Palmer. And then De Bruyne swings one across field from left to right. This is for Doku to chase. Cucurella's in, tight on him. Doku being forced back towards the halfway line and then back into his own half. Excellent period of play.
It is, and you know, the quality of the players out there is fantastic. We've hardly seen the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. You know, nothing from him, or indeed Palmer. They have still to come.
We will go to Bolton in a sec, but here's Bernardo Silva now to Doku, then back to Rico Lewis, just on the edge of the penalty area, back into the left full-back position. Doku stabs it into the box. Lewis tries to give him it back. Cucurella goes down, and that is given as a free kick by referee Taylor. Free kick for Chelsea. So let's bring in Tom Gale. 3 o'clock kickoff with you, Tom. It was in League One.
Closing stages, John. Bolton 0, Wrexham 0. Notable save apiece for each keeper in the second half. First, the host Baxter down low to stop a firm strike from Marriott. Then Okonkwo at full stretch to bust Charles's effort around the post. We're in the final 5 of normal time. Bolton 0, Wrexham 0.
I mentioned those 2 competitive one-day cup semi-finals. What about the 100? Melissa Story.
Well, the London Spirit, they need 24 off 26 balls. A useful cameo from England's Danny Gibson, 22 off 9 balls. The London Spirit, well, they're on track for this win. It's their game to lose. 23 now needed from 25 balls.
Thank you very much. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0. The cricket, the 100 on Sports Extra. And you'll find, here's Enzo Fernandez now, halfway line, through to Jackson. Jackson tries to go past Akanji, but excellent work from Diaz to put in the challenge, go to ground, take it away. And actually, I think that's been given as a free kick by the foul by Jackson on Diaz. And Mateo Kovacic is just going across for a word with referee Taylor.
Yeah, but you just seen a little bit of the speed that Jackson's got. It's pretty special. But he didn't see the tackle coming in for the back. Just a bad moment there from Savinho, give the ball away. Manchester City players looked to him as if to say, we don't do that here. That led to the half chance.
In those other matches, in League 2, it finished Notts County 2, Fleetwood 2. Excellent win for Sunderland earlier against Sheffield Wednesday, who started the season so well. 4-0 Sunderland won that as Lavia is picked up for a foul centre field, so it's a free kick to Manchester City. In our first Premier League commentary of the day, Brentford won their opening Premier League match by 2 goals to 1 in one of the many London derbies against Crystal Palace. And in the League Cup in Scotland, Dundee United are through, 1-0 winners against St Mirren. Motherwell and Kilmarnock are into extra time, 1-0 Motherwell lead, and Celtic currently 3-1 up on Hibernia. And that is over now. Motherwell are through, Pat. 2 of your former clubs, Motherwell go through. Here's Doku, who's appeared on the left. De Bruyne swings it in from the left-hand side, but that's patted down by Sanchez at his near post.
Interesting watching De Bruyne just now, because he's been sitting in that slightly deeper midfield role, trying to find a little bit of space. And there has been a lot of space in that midfield, but each time he's got the ball, Lavia, Caicedo, sometimes Enzo closed them down very, very quickly. So now he's trying to drift in and find spaces. And you know how clever a player he is. At some point, he will get space.
Cucurella goes down, and the challenge from Savinho, who just for the time being has switched over onto the right-hand side, so it's a free kick for Chelsea. Should mention, Pat, Motherwell and Kilmarnock very much feature in your latest book, which is an excellent read. Yeah. And you will be talking about it at the Edinburgh Festival tomorrow, no less.
Tomorrow midday. Don't know if there's any tickets left.
I would imagine they'd have sold out months ago. Here's Sanchez, long and right-footed downfield. Akanji heads it out to the right-hand side. Lewis is chasing that. Bright sunshine. It is a warm afternoon. Lewis is dispossessed by Cucurella and left on the ground. Backheel by Jackson, but Cucurella didn't continue his run. So that completely breaks down. as Akanji plays the ball right across his 6-yard box beyond Edison, and then it's played back across from the left-hand side. Are they taking the mick?
That is ridiculous.
Guardiola.
There are 2 passes that were played there that in a 20-year career I never saw once. And they were played twice within 10 seconds. You would never take chances
Passes
like that.
From the full-back positions across the 6-yard box by on both occasions.
Only a yard out from the goal. Extraordinary.
Yeah. So you won't read about that sort of thing in Pat's book.
No.
Here's Doku. Doku turns under pressure from Caicedo. That's a free kick. Drones from the Chelsea fans. Another update from Ellen Drode, Sharon Shortle.
Half time, and it's Hull KR with the edge. Ryan Hall adding in the third try of the half for the Rovers. They lead at the break by 4 points to 12 against the Catalan Dragons.
Kevin De Bruyne drifting in from the left-hand side. I always feel when I see him playing against Chelsea, one of his former clubs, that he's not forgotten that he didn't make it here. He always looks to have an extra spring in his stride when it comes to Chelsea.
I would agree.
Here he is, De Bruyne flicks the ball through into the penalty area. That's cleared away by Gusto on the fall, but Manchester City will deal with that. Akanji, loved the way that he stood up Akanji and took that penalty in the Community Shield. Yes, it was just a Community Shield, but brilliantly converted.
Oh, brilliant,
Yeah, under the crossbar down the middle.
3 keepers wouldn't have saved them.
No, they would not. Here is Doku. Doku plays it into the edge of the area, forced to Haaland. Haaland trying to find a way through, and he does. There it is. The champions score their first Premier League goal of the new season. And who is it who scored it? Well, it's Erling Haaland, of course. Even though defenders were there, he used his strength, held them off. Haaland on his left foot. 18 minutes on the clock. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1, and Erling Haaland marks his 100th appearance for Manchester City with the goal.
They made the change there. You said they changed the wingers around. Doku went left there. Doku looks much more comfortable on the left-hand side. He zips the ball, and I think may well be Silva just gets a little bit of a nick onto it. But when it comes to Haaland, you're absolutely right. There's 2 players with him. They're 2 big, strong centre backs. You just know what he's like. They bounce off him, and he's the awareness then just to clip it over the goalkeeper when he gets 1-on-1 with him. We talked about him before the game. There isn't another player on this planet who you would rather have 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper. However, as we say that, they're going to check for offside. I have to say, I didn't see any.
No, I didn't either. And I suppose whether it might have been when there was that touch from Bernardo Silva on the edge of the box. And the question is whether he was being played onside by Fofana.
It's close. It's very close.
So they're waiting to draw the lines at Stockley Park. Michael Salisbury is the video assistant referee.
We can see an angle here. I'll tell you what, not the best angle I've ever seen. If that's the best they've got to work with, it's going to be tough.
Yeah,
got the good
by the time
technology.
they draw the lines, they'll have used all of the various cameras that are involved. And of course, this season, at some point, possibly later than we expected, we will see semi-automated offside being introduced. And once that comes, by now we would know. The goal is given. It's onside. It's a very tight one. But Fofana's heel has played Bernardo Silva onside. We know that up here. It's not yet been announced inside the stadium. We've seen the pictures, but Manchester City's goal is about to be confirmed. Anthony Taylor still waiting. There we are. And now City can celebrate again, and that's what their fans do in the lower tier and the upper tier of the Shed Stand. Manchester City off and running for the new Premier League season. They're 1-0 up here at Stamford Bridge.
But that's when I do like VAR. I won't say love it, but that's when I like it. That could have been offside. We found the correct answer there. It was only a very, very short little 2 inches or 1 inch or a millimetre even, but they got it right, and the right goal stands at the right time.
So Erling Haaland, 38 goals last season for City, 52 the season before. That is now in his 100th appearance for Manchester City, his 91st goal for the club. It is ridiculous.
I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And to be fair, has he done anything else in the game so far? Almost nothing in the game so far, except making moves, trying to get in his areas, and he just lives for that moment. The ball falls at his feet, between him and those two white sticks there. No, very, very special goal scorer.
Yeah, the champions are in front. The goal scored in the 18th minute, and here they are, Manchester City, in the sky blue shirts, white shorts, and dark socks, playing the ball back towards the halfway line, where Akanji will roll it all the way back to goalkeeper Ederson. The other thing I meant to mention earlier, which is definitely worth mentioning now, 2 seasons ago, in City's first Premier League match of the season, so it was his league debut, Haaland scored 2 goals. Last season, in Manchester City's first Premier League game of the season at Burnley, Haaland scored 2 goals. And here's De Bruyne through the middle. De Bruyne curls it narrowly wide from the edge of the D. If he just got a little more draw on that, it would have been in the bottom corner.
Do you know the weirdest thing about it is they're coming from an area, you know, running. Rico Lewis is coming, sometimes Kanji's coming, certainly, you know, the white Savinho's coming in as well. They're finding too much space, and I wonder if it's because Enzo is playing as a 10 and he's not coming back, he's not covering the space there, but he's not doing much going forward either so far. So you just wonder if that's something that Maresca will have to look to and say, well, the other Enzo has got to do a little bit more for the team defensively.
Back to League One and Bolton, Tom Gale.
Full time, Bolton 0, Wrexham 0. 2 sides fancied for promotion cancel each other out in the sunshine. Keepers Baxter and Okonkwo in fine form as they both pick up a first clean sheet of the season, as well as maintaining their unbeaten league starts. Full time, Bolton 0, Wrexham 0.
Must be almost over as well in the Celtic Hibs match. Celtic, it would appear, going through with Motherwell and Dundee United earlier. We'll confirm that for you in a moment or two, but here come Chelsea now trying to respond to this. Ball deflected out of play for a throw-in to Enzo Maresca's side, who find themselves 1-0 down after the great promise, really, at the end of last season under Maurizio Pochettino. 5 wins in a row. They found a way. They settled a little.
It was extraordinary because that came after an absolute hammering at the Emirates against Arsenal. And you thought, well, this is just looks a shambles, it doesn't look organised. And suddenly it seemed to fall into place. But, you know, big changes, personnel changes in the group, also in the management as well. And it doesn't seem to have flowed quite as well. I mean, they don't look bad at the start here at this game, Chelsea, but it's not flowed. Certainly they can't get the likes of Palmer or Nkunku into the game.
Oh, Chelsea trying to play it out from the back. Sanchez to Fofana and then Colwell. And now forward from Cucurella. Nkunku goes back to Lavia on the edge of the box. Lavia moving it from left to right. Now out there on the far side, Fofana slips it forward to Gusto, who just cuts back in field. So Doku is still now over on the left-hand side. It was Doku who created the goal from the left, so they played first 15 minutes, a little bit more than that with Doku on the right and Savinho on the left. Then they switched, then the goal came.
Yeah, I just do not know why more teams with wingers don't do that more often. I find it astonishing because almost all wingers can play both wings, because, you know, your strength cutting in or going wide, depending on which side you're stronger with. I'm amazed it's not more common, and it's worked a treat for Manchester City when they changed it today.
Back to Glasgow. Celtic through, Ailey.
They are comfortably through, John, through to the quarterfinals with a 3-1 win over Hibs. Nicholas Kuhn and Dejan Maeda involved in all 3 goals. Kuhn twice the provider for Maeda before Maeda's insistence in the press forced a poor back pass, and Persic could only smash his clearance off Kuhn into the net. Hibs got one back through Kukurejevic, but really they offered little. Defensively they were missing, and Celtic secure their spot here by winning 3-1.
And Motherwell went through with a goal in extra time from Ebi. Manchester City leading through a goal from Erling Haaland. Haaland just troweling through the middle up front. I mean, they were bouncing off him as he found a way through to score, as Akanji is dispossessed by Nkunku, and referee Taylor has given the free kick for Nkunku's challenge on Akanji that resulted in the Swiss central defender on the ground. Free kick, Manchester City.
Yeah, referee seemed confident, he was in a good position there, but there's no defender was in real trouble there. Didn't have control of the ball. There was a bit pushing both ways, and now having a close-up. Spot on, referee. Got it right.
Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. 6:06 today for the first time on a Sunday in the Premier League this season, so I'll let you know when the lines are open for that, with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton again after a lively evening for them last night, as Chelsea have the ball with Fofana. Fofana thought about the long pass, but actually just begins to carry it forward towards the halfway line. Chelsea, who will be back in action on Thursday night, by the way, in the playoff match for the Europa Conference League. They've been paired with Servette, the Swiss side, so Stamford Bridge Thursday night, and then the return a week later in Switzerland. Chelsea back in Europe this season after that late run. Here's Gusto on the right-hand side. Gusto is prevented from crossing it by Jeremy Doku, and then back it goes towards the halfway line again as Levi Colwell, who missed the end of last season with injury, which might well have cost him a place in the squad for the Euros. Would have been useful as the left back, potentially might be in the first Lee Carsley squad. We'll see. Here's Fofana. Fofana puts his foot on the ball, a little pass to Cole Palmer. I don't think there's any doubt that he'll be in Lee Carsley's squad, having been in and played such a big part in the under-21 team of Lee Carsley, winning the Euros last summer. Here is Nkunku on the left-hand side. Back it comes to Cucurella, square from him. Lavia now to the edge of the area. Lovely touch from Palmer. Tried to find a way through with the pass. He might have been fouled on the edge of the area. Lavia likewise. Fernandes wins it back for Chelsea. Here's Lavia again. It is very, very congested centrally there, right in the middle of the Manchester City half, just outside the penalty area, and Chelsea go back to the halfway line.
Cole Palmer finally getting the ball in a good area. He had 3 players around him, but he doesn't care about that. I do think he was fouled there. He was very honest and said
it did look at Fernandes. Now to Nkunku again. Nkunku clips it in towards the back post. Gusto's arriving, but allowed the ball to bounce. It came at an awkward angle. He's still got it though, the Chelsea right back. In the City left back area. Plays it back to Caicedo. Now here is Palmer. Again quite central. We did wonder, you and I, Pat, whether Palmer might end up playing in a central position in this lineup.
I think he will by the end of this game, without a doubt.
Cucurella now. Cucurella goes back towards Colwell, picks out the pass. Palmer's now on the left-hand side. In it swirls from him on his left foot, but too close to Ederson, who's able to catch it, and then underarm it out quickly to De Bruyne. Manchester City are motoring here. De Bruyne to Doku on the left-hand side. Chelsea shirts getting back. Doku's still in possession. De Bruyne's available. He's 35 yards out where he is. Just carries it a little further forward. So casual, so composed. De Bruyne to Doku, and it all slows again. Manchester City 1-0 up. Kovacic back to Doku, who's going to have a run at Gusto. Little pass to De Bruyne. De Bruyne curls it all the way across to the Brazilian Savinho. Savinho with the ball on the ground. He's going to take on Cucurella. Right-footed cross from him. That's headed away by Colwell, and it comes out to Fernandes, and Chelsea then win a throw-in. Nkunku off Nkanji.
Savinho's got a little bit more joy against Cucurella than Doku was beforehand, and that's why. Not a better player, just a different type of player against him there. Just a little dummy there, goes down the line. I think the Chelsea players have spotted that Manchester City have probably been the better side just, but they don't look at their absolute best. They're not sparky, they're not sharp. I wouldn't call them lumbering, but they're a little bit slower than that when they are their very, very best. Now that might be the lack of Rodri controlling the ball in the midfield, but this looks like a game at the start of the season for Manchester City, and I think the Chelsea players are beginning to spot that.
Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. If you've just switched on, guess who scored for Manchester City? You never will. Jackson, forward from him, but Lavia as well. He took a knock there, Lewis, but came away with the ball. Manchester City with a Kanji. John Stones on the bench for Manchester City. And likewise Grealish. I wonder what Jack Grealish is thinking, sitting down there watching Doku and Savinho looking really dangerous on both flanks.
What the manager has to do is put them out there on the bench and say, look at what these guys are doing. They're asking questions, they're taking on defenders. They're not always going to buy them, but they're also as an end product, you know, a lot of the time. And Jack has to just simply do that again. We all know how good a player he is, and the hope is that the injuries over the years haven't slowed him down so much. He's just not capable of doing it anymore. I hope that's not the case.
Savinho still on the right-hand side, the number 26. The ball is with Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper. Savinho on his Premier League debut, this 20-year-old. I saw him make his debut for Brazil against England at Wembley in March, came on. I thought he looked really bright in the Community Shield last Saturday afternoon. And Pep Guardiola has said, yeah, I like the look of you. You're straight in the team for the first match of the Premier League.
But he's got the skills. He's got a bit of vision. He's shown that already in the game. But the thing that gets me, if you play for Manchester City, usually you've got to have game awareness, knowing where to run and drive players away. He's got that too.
And what he said was, Guardiola, after the match last Saturday, he said, we've watched him, play for Girona, one of the teams in the City football group last season when they did so well. And he said he created so many chances. He said he was one of the most dangerous players in La Liga last season. And now here he is at Manchester City. Cucurella in possession. And then back it goes to Cucurella. I think we'll pass it all the way back to the goalkeeper Sanchez. He's from a rural background as well. Savinho, Pat, in Brazil, grew up on his grandparents' farm, picking tomatoes and milking cows. This is a different world. Here's Palmer down the right for Gusto. Now Fernandez on the edge of the area. In comes the challenge on him, which was I have to say, that was a heavy challenge that came in on Fernandez, right on the edge of the penalty area.
Looking at it, they're definitely going to look at that. There is a contact there, and it's whether Fernandez has just put on the brakes and taken the hit, but he's got himself in a good position there. Savinho's got close to him. I'm not convinced by that. I don't think he changed that. The referee. It's not that obvious that you go and change it.
Yeah, I think that is another one. As we were discussing with Steve Sidwell last night, the referee having seen that and not given it, I don't see now, with VAR operating as it will, that that is a referee's call.
Absolutely. And the defender, Enzo just stops and waits for the hit or the push. It's not a big one, he just puts on the brakes. I've done it a million times before. Sometimes you get lucky with the referees, sometimes you don't. This time Enzo didn't.
Yeah, Savinho. It was a clumsy challenge. It was a careless challenge. He ended up with his hands in the back of Fernandez, who went down. But referee Taylor said no penalty, and that's how it stands.
And I'll tell you what, right now Fernandez is thinking, I wish I wouldn't have put on the brakes. I should have just had a go, because he was right on the edge of the 18-yard line.
Nkunku just nips the ball back from Lewis, and now Cucurella on the overlap. Cucurella pulls it back from the dead ball line, but Guardiola came across, headed it away. Now Caicedo, lovely touch from Palmer, but there was cover there for Manchester City with Diaz. And now De Bruyne just overstretched, so Lavia won it back. Fernandez through the middle, overhits the ball through, and Ederson's able to easily pick it up. Back across London to Lords. Melissa Story.
The London Spirit have won this year's 100 final. It went down to the wire. It was nervy at times. 6 needed off the final 5, but Deepti Sharma, the Indian international, sealed the win for the London Spirit with a 6.
Savinho skips past Cucurella, turns, gives it back. Kovacic's shot, that's blocked by a defender inside the area. Chelsea will look to counter-attack here. Needs the early pass, which it has from Caicedo, but Jackson is a mile offside. Play's allowed to continue. Jackson still going. Jackson still going. Jackson shoots. It's blocked. It bounces to Gusto. There's no offside flag, intriguingly.
I think it's closer than you think.
Did he run from inside his own half?
I think it's closer than you think. It probably was offside, but
Gusto on the right. His cross. The City switched off there, and now the offside flags up. And Manchester City's players. And Pep Guardiola. All of them, the City players, Pep Guardiola, they all react as though somebody's just put an electric charge into their bottoms.
Yeah, they're furious about it. Let's see. Now, look at it. It's not that extreme, is it? You thought it was clear daylight, didn't you?
Yes.
There's not.
However,
it's half a yard, but it's offside.
So that's that. Pep Guardiola. You can just imagine Guardiola now.
I think the referee and the assistant referee have done everything right there.
Yeah,
I really do.
They could have put the flag up a little earlier.
Like, you thought it was miles off, right? It wasn't.
No.
He was. The bodies were level, but he was leaning forward. So it's no more than half a yard. The body's offside. There's no clear daylight between them. So don't take a chance. Let it play out. It infuriates a lot of people. If he was 2 or 3 yards offside, fair enough. He wasn't.
No. Pat is right. As City have the ball halfway inside their own half. You've just switched on to us. You've just got back into your car. I don't know. Afternoon like this, you could have been at the seaside eating 99s. Here's Lewis on the right-hand side. Savinho, nice touch of the ball. He's past Cucurella as well. And now Savinho into the shadow in front of the Matthew Harding stand. Cucurella's recovered, and Savinho is able just to tap it back towards the halfway line. Manchester City leading 1-0. Kovacic back to Savinho. Savinho again. Cucurella seems to have hair all over the front of his face as he watches the ball being cleared by Nkunku on the edge of the area, and then a foul by Fernandes by Akanji. Free kick that Chelsea take quickly. They might regret that. Doku's won it back. Doku, right foot. Oh, what a save from Sanchez. Diving to his right with his left arm, threw it up and pushed it over the angle of post and bar for a corner.
It's a world-class save, but also it looked great, didn't it, as well? He's flying to his right-hand side there, and he's tipped it over. There's a lot of pace on the ball, and there's a little bit of swerve on it as well, but it's a very good save. But once again, Chelsea trying to play out for the back. The swerve on that was what made it a special save, wasn't it? He thought it was going in the corner, but it came back towards him. Still got a strong left paw on it.
Half-time approaching. 6 or 7 minutes to play. It's a corner to Manchester City. In it comes from the left-hand side by De Bruyne, headed away by Chelsea on the edge of the 6-yard box. Kovacic back to Doku. Doku up against Lavia. Low ball in now. Here's Gvardiol, who tried to prod it across the box. Got it all wrong, and Chelsea should clear. Farmer's got it on the edge of his own box, which he does now. Get it away towards the halfway line. Back to Ellen Road, Sharon Shortle.
It's been the ideal start to the second half for Hull KR. Captain Elliot Minchella gliding through the defence for his second try, leaving the Catalan defenders just looking at each other. We have played 5 minutes in this second half. It's Catalans Dragons 4, Hull Kingston Rovers 18.
Savinho receives it again on the right-hand side for Manchester City, plays it through to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva, though dispossessed, whipped away from him by Enzo Fernandez. I think there was a late challenge on Cucurella inside the box. He stayed down after he got the ball away, but Chelsea still in possession. So Anthony Taylor allows play to continue to develop, and then Fofana switches play to the right-hand side, and Cole Palmer's off down the right wing. Kevin De Bruyne trying to get back there, his former teammate. Palmer clips it in left-footed, and Nkunku heads it back. Jackson with a touch, Fernandes with a shot, and that's blocked. Lewis and Akanji were both standing in the way of that. There are low fives between them. Together they were able to block it wide.
Yeah, but good play. Finally Chelsea get Cole Palmer in position. He actually can make some ground up there on the right hand side. It does make the ground, picks the right ball into the back post there. And Chelsea do look a little bit sharper, just at this point in time near the end, sharper than they have been for the first 30 minutes or so. I do think they believe they've got the strength. And the build up here, look at this inside that 18-yard line. There's Chelsea players, 6 of them all together
in a group just beyond the penalty spot, between the penalty spot and the edge of the area. Then they all separate. Fernandes takes the corner, and that's headed away by the Colossus himself, Haaland, at the near post. Well, the blonde hair tied tightly back, and he's cleared it to Savinho, and Savinho slips it forward to Doku, and Doku now running at the Chelsea defence. It took a block. De Bruyne then finds Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva in the area, drags it back on his left foot, shoots, and it's saved by the legs of Sanchez. De Bruyne stayed down. There was a crunching challenge on him after he was able to pass the ball. City play on though. Kovacic, after that save from the legs, it didn't go out. Doku into the area. Challenge from Caicedo. De Bruyne is still down on his back, and actually Savinho sat down as well, and City are now going to put the ball out of play, Bernardo Silva, so that De Bruyne and Savinho can be looked at.
Yeah, difficult one for referee Anthony Taylor there, because it looks clearly to me like an obvious free kick on Kevin De Bruyne. He was completely wiped out there. It's about 22 yards out, absolute dead centre, but of course they continue the move forward. They had a chance, so he's allowed them to play that ball there, looking for an advantage. But it was a ridiculous challenge here. I think it was Caicedo who made the challenge on De Bruyne, missed it by miles, and I think Kevin De Bruyne would have preferred to have got a free kick there.
Yeah, and Doku as well. So the City play was coming in. Caicedo with a challenge. He was late. Savinho, and he's okay, De Bruyne. He's back on his feet. Savinho, who needs the physios to come on and have a look at him, he's got a problem with his, looks like his lower right leg.
Yeah, I think we checked for the medial ligament there. so that might just be a little strain there as opposed to a kick. Maybe a possible little twist there, which, judging by his reaction just now, doesn't look particularly good for him, which is a real shame because he's been one of the best, if not the best player on the pitch so far. He's come over to the right hand side, and Cucurella, who was given nothing to Doku, suddenly actually was getting lots and lots out of Cucurella. Left him for dead 2 or 3 times, but he's struggling a wee bit there.
Yeah, Savinho continues to receive treatment. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. 606 later. 85058 to book your call, hashtag BBC 606. I'll tell you when the lines are open. You can read all about the football news, the statement from Raheem Sterling, who was completely left out by Manchester City. You can read all of the details of that on the BBC Sport website. Match of the day 2 tonight for the highlights, and any time on the iPlayer, and every morning the 5 Live Football Daily, free from BBC Sounds. All of BBC Live Radio is on there, all of the football podcasts as well, including a brand new You'll Never Beat Kyle Walker, who's on the bench for City here, where he recaps on his feelings on what happened with England at the Euros. So you'll find that on BBC Sounds. But you can pause, rewind, listen again. If you're a Villa fan, you might want to have a listen back to last night's Premier League commentary when Villa played well and won. But 1-0 it is as play resumes, and Savinho has been helped off the field, but I think he's going to come back on, Pat.
Yeah, that's good news just for any football fan, because he is a joy to watch. By the way, you'll never beat Kyle Walker. How many youngsters know where that quote actually originally comes from?
So who was the original player? Who was it that you could never beat? I think I do know that.
Well, you should do. It's kind of slightly in the question.
Yeah.
Des Walker, right?
Yes, Des Walker. As Guardiola plays it back to goalkeeper Ederson, and then Akanji back across the penalty area, and Manchester City build from the back. Just a little quiet at Stamford Bridge now as half-time approaches into the last 2 minutes of the first half. Diaz very nearly caught in possession by Fernandes, but City from Diaz to Akanji, now to Kovacic, now Lewis is moving forward, but Lavia comes across and does well, actually. Good challenge, puts pressure, got the tackle in, out of play on the halfway line.
Yeah, he kind of done well on the defensively, and Kunku and Lavia, you know, working there, but creation, nah, that's been a real problem. Enzo's playing a little bit further forward, not really created a great deal so far.
Yeah, so what are they going to do about it? Here's Jackson square, and Kunku centrally, finds Palmer just outside the box, left foot shot, Ederson goes down, he's lost it, and it's in! Jackson is there, but the offside flag is up, and the goal is ruled out. A fumble from Ederson, most unlike him from the Palmer shot, and the question is, has Adam Nunn, one of the best referee's assistants that we've got, one of the top men, has he got this call right?
You know, it's a tough one, because I mean, you shouldn't be offside there, because it's come from a long, long way out there when he's made the shot, and yeah, he's looking like very offside. I think
he is.
Very offside. Well done, assistant referee, gets it right again.
Yeah, this is the usual team. This was the Euros team, Anthony Taylor and Gary Bezic and Adam Nunn. They're a real partnership.
To underline just now, they've not officially announced it yet.
No, they haven't.
It looks offside.
Yeah, so let's just hold on until that is absolutely confirmed. But Jackson did look offside. I've seen those go the other way though before.
Yeah, if there's a deflection or something else has happened off, something else out of shot.
It is, you know, when semi-automated offside does come in, this is going to make a big difference, because again, we know now, we'd be back underway.
Exactly.
And so they're still drawing the lines, and the goal is,
of course, he's offside,
confirmed as being offside. So it remains Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1, and City still continue to lead through the Erling Haaland goal on his 100th appearance in all competitions for Manchester City.
Do you know, very noticeable to talk about Haaland, you know, gets into these positions, but you're looking at the amount of times Jackson scored goals that have been ruled offside. Those inches make a difference, and the top strikers know when to go.
Lavia now through the middle, Jackson with a pass out to the left-hand side to Nkunku, and Nkunku catches up with it and takes it back over towards the left, Cucurella. If you haven't heard, by the way, it was the news this week, but on social media now you can find the Premier League Match Centre, which will explain all of these various VAR decisions shortly after they're made. Although there were a couple of quite functional ones yesterday, but in the main, I think that is a positive move. Here's Gusto on the right-hand side. Gusto drags it back against Doku, and then back to the halfway line. We are in added time at the end of the first half. Just seconds to play. The champions 1-0 up. Cucurella way down below us. Just runs his fingers through his hair as he gives it infield towards Colwill. And then Colwill again. It's an interesting one, isn't it? The England players were given plenty of time, whereas Chelsea with Cucurella, who went all the way. Here he is, right in the start of the season, as Nkunku takes it through the middle. Kovacic with a challenge. That's not given as a free kick. And then De Bruyne is bundled over by Jackson. That is given as a free kick. Jackson gets up, wagging his finger, but it's a free kick to City.
Once again, he's not the most popular player in person. The manager got up both of them spot on. Absolutely right. But he's been closed down a lot, Kevin De Bruyne. I understand that. I mean, obviously Manchester City are trying to do the same with Cole Palmer. They have once left him, and they almost scored. But that shot on target, rebounded, but Jackson had gone offside. But the important players, the creative players, they're the ones that try to close down all the time. And so far, generally, both teams have done that fairly well.
BBC 5 Live on the World Service. Final seconds of the first half. Diaz will take this free kick just inside his own half. 5 minutes of added time. We have had a couple of stoppages, VAR, and a couple of injuries. Here's Doku, set up the opening goal. Doku across, Bernardo Silva inside the penalty area, but excellent work from Lavia. He sensed the danger there. Lavia got in exactly the right place and was able to get a touch and take it away from Bernardo Silva. City, though, come again. Again, Doku, dangerous.
Yeah, the left-hand side, he's just so much more comfortable over there.
Here he is again, Gvardiol to Doku. Plays it past Gusto, but I'm not sure that was a free kick. No, it wasn't. Referee Taylor allows that to go. Doku was looking for that, played it past him and then went down. Now to the right-hand side. Palmer. Cole Palmer again, way out wide. He's got Gusto there with him. Ball in though, low to the edge of the box. Fernandes, heavy touch. Still going Fernandes, then he goes down. Optimistic shouts from the stands from the Chelsea supporters. Anthony Taylor stands, looks at it and shakes his head. No penalty.
Well, they're a long way away and we couldn't see a penalty. I couldn't see a penalty there. I thought he just went down there. I think it was a tackle. I mean, Enzo might actually have hurt himself as he went down there, but it didn't strike me. But we shall wait and see if there's anything else.
Just having a little look at it. I mean, no, there's definitely a dive there.
He's thrown himself into a couple of challenges there, no more than that. He was never balanced and in control of the ball at any point in time. So yeah, he's looking for that there.
I've just seen the Premier League social media post about the goal that was ruled out for offside. You know what I was saying about some of them being quite functional? It says,
can I guess?
Well, let me tell you. VAR checked a potential penalty for a challenge. Oh no, that's not the one I was talking about. It was the offside I was going to... yeah. No, not that one. No, I'll come back. Listen, basically,
it's a system that's very easy to use, John. Apparently, we were told.
Not me that you. If it was me, I'd be an absolute whiz. What it said was VAR checked for offside and found that he was offside. So that was
which is precisely the word you'd expect from him to say that. It kind of went a wee bit dull the last 5 minutes or so, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's kind of a warm
afternoon, isn't it? Are you ready for a sleep?
Yeah, it's kind of a wee bit soporific at this point in time. You should not what you expected, not what you expected at this point in time.
Last few weekends you've been on the settee at this time on a Sunday afternoon.
I've been on the golf course.
And then on the settee.
Yes.
Right. Fernandes is okay. Just fell awkwardly. He threw himself to the ground, but did fall awkwardly. He's okay.
There's so many things to talk about here, but do you know what? There's one guy I'm thinking about. I'll talk about in a minute.
Long pass from Akanji. De Bruyne chasing that. Gusto got there first, though, inside the area. Defended it well, actually. Marlo Gusto. Now Cole Palmer passes it away to the halfway line. Jackson, that's a nice turn past Akanji. Jackson's pass forward. Now Nkunku, left side of the box. Nkunku, defenders are there and Lewis is able to block it, but it bounces back to Nkunku. Lovely footwork, past Lewis, then went down. However, Cucurella then swings it across the area. That's blocked. I think Nkunku was looking for that as well, even though Lewis stood there and did sort of stick out his backside. Nkunku ran into it. So no penalty there either.
Yeah, tight. I mean, Chelsea fans once again absolutely delighted with the referee. but that's not a clear-cut penalty. But that's the first moment of Nkunku where you've seen a little bit of skill, a little bit of pace. When the ball came back to him again, the problem was when he got into position to shoot, he didn't catch it at all.
Yeah, listen, there is the half-time whistle. Boos. I think that's directed towards the officials as much as anything else, rather than a first 45 minutes performance by Enzo Maresca's Chelsea in the Premier League. But Nkunku there showing flashes of what a really extravagant talent that he can be. Just 14 appearances so far. However, it's been Manchester City's first half with Erling Haaland scoring the only goal, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, caught the eye a couple of players, Doku a few times, we talked about him. And Savinho, maybe the best player on the park. Cucurella started well, but as soon as Savinho went up against him, he's been pressed back and he's been absolutely done 2 or 3 times. But when it comes right down to it, lots of technical chat, lots of different things going on. Big old centre forward bullies his way through the middle and scores a goal, and that's what it all came down to after that. I was just about to say before we went away there, there's one guy I'm actually thinking of just now. Enzo has been very, very quiet in that kind of number 10 position. Do you know, if you're playing number 10, you've got to be creative, you've got to be creating things, you've got to be central to everything. He's been quite anonymous. 2 people I'm thinking about, Cole Palmer must want to play in there, have a bigger effect on. And also, if you're Conor Gallagher, you're thinking, I might do a bit better than that.
Yeah, I wonder where he is this afternoon, Conor Gallagher. And just for the record, that Premier League match centre post, when Jackson put the ball in the net after Ederson fumbled the Palmer shot, says VAR checked and confirmed the referee's call of no goal as Jackson was in an offside position.
Keep it simple.
Yep. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1.
But Pat, I sort of feel like the deals from Chelsea have been a little bit desperate. But that aside, I think they've been pretty good. They've actually had more of the ball, which against Manchester City is no mean feat.
Yeah, there was a period in the game, I'd say 20 minutes in or so, I mean, actually maybe even just after the goal, where Chelsea looked at each other, the players thought, actually, they're not all that just now. They're not the sharpest. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne doesn't look absolutely at full 100% sharpness. Neither, I have to say, does Haaland. Neither does Bernardo Silva. You know, and Kovacic, good player though he isn't Rodri. And they kind of looked at each other and thought, well, wait a minute, we should be getting more out of this. And then they did come more into the game. The problem is, they've not got the ball to Palmer, who hasn't been absolutely at his sharpest either. But when he has got the ball in a little bit of space, he's created the one chance. But the other problem they've got Caicedo, defensive midfielder, Lavia, defensive midfielder. So they stick Enzo up a little bit more forward. He's created nothing, absolutely nothing. They need a little bit more creativity on that pitch. Good news for them is, they've got Neto, they've got Madueke, they've got Dewsbury Hall, who I have to say would be my temptation to bring on, if not now, certainly within 10 or 15 minutes. So, yeah, a bit better from Chelsea. I don't think either team's playing brilliantly, but Man City have probably shaded it.
There's a few of those Chelsea players, and you've just named them, who, you know, potentially they might look at changing at some point. I suspect Lavia's not one of them. Him alongside Caicedo's look pretty sharp.
Yeah, he's a bit of a unit, isn't he?
Yeah.
Lavia, he's a big, strong lad. And what he's done is he killed the space for the vast majority of the time that Kevin De Bruyne has been trying to find. And that's really important when you're playing against Manchester City. Kill that space there, because he finds it really well. But if you've got 2 set midfielders in Caicedo and Lavia, you should be able to do that to some degree. But yeah, he's done well. But that's a luxury. If you've got 2 in there, it's limiting your creativity a little bit further forward. It means you've only got Nkunku, Enzo and Palmer to try and create something for Jackson. And that might not be enough against a top team like Manchester City. Because usually Chelsea want Gusto or Cucurella to go forward. They ain't getting forward because Doku and Savinho are holding them back. So it might have to be time to be brave for Maresca. He might do it now, he might do it after 10 or 15 minutes, but at some point, one of those 3 midfielders has to make way for a little bit more offensive danger and creativity.
From City's perspective, I know what you mean about neither team being, you know, necessarily 100% on it. I mean, it's the first day of the season, but yeah, I mean, who's City's best player in that first half? It's not really easy to say.
I'd say Savinho probably.
Okay.
I don't think it's Haaland. Doku's got better since he went over to the left. Yeah, but no one's playing out of the skin. I think Silva and De Bruyne, as you will know yourself, how highly rate both of those players. are not been absolutely brilliant. They've been closed down, not a lot of space in there for them. But no, they haven't been absolutely at the sparkling and controlling best. But it's been good enough so far to get ahead, to get the goal. But you know, if Chelsea scored a goal now, you wouldn't put it past Chelsea to come back and go and win this game, especially with the options that they've got on the bench. But then again, you have to remember, on that other bench is Foden and players like that are very, very good and can come on and change it. And Grealish as well, Walker, he can make a big difference going forward. So a lot of the decisions in this game will come from the benches when they make those changes, either at half time or more likely 60 or 7 minutes in.
Yeah, looks very nicely played still. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1, half-time at Stamford Bridge. We've got reaction on the way to Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. We'll hear from both of the managers. We'll speak to Robbie Savage as well ahead of 606 08 085 909 693. We will tell you the moment the lines open. Let's dip back into Super League's magic weekend. Lee Leopards already winners today. What about Catalan Dragons and Hull KR? Sharon Shortle.
And it's Hull KR in command still. The latest try coming from Kalepi Tanganoa. Mikey Lewis hasn't got his kicking boots with him this afternoon. He's converted just one out of the tries that have been scored so far. But Hull KR on the way back to the top of Super League. Catalan Dragons 4, Hull KR 22.
And we will give you the draw for the Scottish League Cup quarter-final after the news on 5 Live with Joe Critcher.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has arrived in Israel to push for a ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. The US and Israel say they're optimistic about reaching an agreement since talks resumed in Doha last week, but Hamas says suggestions of progress are an illusion. Prison officers are warning the fast-tracking of criminal cases relating to recent riots and disorder in England and Northern Ireland is adding pressure to an already stretched prison system. The chair of the Prison Officers Association, Mark Fairhurst, says last week there were huge numbers of new inmates.
We had 397 new receptions. As of Friday, we only had 340 spaces left in the adult closed male estate, which is feeling the most pressure. We're already using Operation Safeguard in certain areas, and I wouldn't be surprised that at some point tomorrow morning the Ministry of Justice would announce that Operation Early Dawn kicks into play, probably Tuesday onwards.
Ted Baker is to close its remaining 31 stores in the UK. Most are expected to be shut by the end of Tuesday. The fashion chain was put into administration in March. More than 500 jobs in the UK and 78 in the Irish Republic are at risk. More than 400 homes have been evacuated in County Down following the discovery of a Second World War bomb. Police believe the removal operation could take days. Barricades have been set up and drivers have been told to avoid the area. Stephanie May has had to leave her house in Newtonards.
We don't know how long we're going to be out for. The letter we were given said could be a minimum of 5 days, could be longer. And I think they don't really know at this point. And it's all just a bit stressful and a bit chaotic, really, to be honest.
And a Banksy artwork on the shutters of London Zoo has been removed for safekeeping and to allow the full entrance to the attraction to be used. The piece, which shows a gorilla lifting the shutter to release a sea lion and birds, has been replaced with a replica.
This is the shocking moment English football has been dreading.
My name is Moses Swabu, and I used to be a professional footballer, but then I got in deep with organised crime.
A match-fixing investigator has highlighted 2 matches he says appear to have suspicious betting patterns.
And became a match fixer operating in the English League.
How honest are you going to be with me?
This is 100%. Join me for Sports Strangest Crimes presents Confessions of a Match Fixer. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports
With Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
And it's Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1 at half-time in the Premier League. Second half commentary on the way and reaction to Brentford's opening victory by 2-1 over Crystal Palace as well. It is finals day in the 100. London Spirit women have claimed the first title, beating Welsh Fire. Let's hear from leg spinner Sarah Glenn, who's been speaking with Atif Nawaz.
What was it like at the end? Just talk us through the feelings. Like, what was going through the team's mind collectively, the nerves there at the ending, because it got so close?
We just kept it really simple and stuck to our strengths. Obviously, it's a final, but we wanted to play our way, and we did that under pressure.
This is huge. It's the first title for this team. It must mean the world to you.
Yes, it means a lot. I think to do it at the home crowd is really special, and our crowd's been amazing and getting behind us, so yeah, really good.
Where does this rank amongst your all-time achievements in cricket?
It's got to be up there for me now. It's one of my top moments.
Winning a title here at Lord's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big house, big crowd here as well. Message to the London Spirit fans?
Just thank you so much for all our support and backing us all the way.
And we will have the men's final next, once we're done with some sort of concert, Henry Moran.
Yes, I heard there was going to be a very famous Swedish pop act performing. I wonder if it might be ABBA. No, it's Zara Larsson who is performing down there on the stage where the London Spirit side was celebrating and lifting that trophy, 15 minutes or so ago. And yeah, they've deserved it. They've been really good through this tournament, got through the eliminator yesterday, very well led by the England captain, Heather Knight, and it was quite fitting that Dipti Sharma, the India international, hit a 6 down the ground to win it. She's averaged over 200 in the tournament and had a brilliant competition. So they've won the trophy for the first time, and they're doing a lap of honour whilst out in the middle. The two sides in the men's final, the Oval Invincibles and the Southern Brave, are going through their warm-ups. It's chaotic. One side a pop star, one side with a trophy, and in the middle of all that, two sides trying to prepare for a major final.
Admit it, you're a bit disappointed it's not ABBA, aren't you? I can tell.
Oh, absolutely. I just wish they'd taken a chance, but you know, what can you do?
Good stuff, Henry. Henry Moran, I assume that's an ABBA song. I genuinely don't know, but
take a chance.
There we go.
Take a chance.
Yeah, cheers. No, you're still live. That's Henry Moran. 5 Sports Extra and BBC TV. You can watch the men's final coming up. Back in the Premier League, Brentford have started their season with a 2-1 win over Crystal Palace, despite leaving out Ivan Toney over quote-unquote transfer interest. Let's hear from Thomas Frank, the Brentford boss, speaking to John Southall.
Well, Thomas, that was probably as combative and hard-fought as you were expecting, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly so. I would say, of course, we know every Premier League game is tough and difficult, but the way Crystal Palace have done in the end of last season, where I think they were really, really good, just made me predict that this would be a tricky and a very difficult game. I thought that Crystal Palace started better, and we didn't start it as well the first 20.
I was going to say, what were you thinking after that first 20 minutes?
But I was exactly what I expected. Of course, I want to be on top, but they are difficult to play out against. They're difficult to be on top, the way they set up, but also knew we could get out. And I think after those 20-25 minutes, I think we got on top.
How pleased were you with the 2 goal scorers, because I think there's going to be a lot on their shoulders this season, isn't there?
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think there's always a talk about Ivan, I think, even when he's not involved. So in the back end of season 2, where Ivan was out for 5-6 games because of an injury, Wes and Brian, I think, scored a lot of goals. Like I want to say 10 or something like crazy between them. And last season they started very well, both of them. And then unfortunately Brian got injured, and that impacted a little bit everything. So I am really positive about the 2 of them, and I think actually our front 3 were good today, including Kevin Charter. That was very positive. So yeah, pleased.
Let's talk about Ivan Toney. Whose decision was that today? Was it yours, the club's, the players? Where did it come from?
That was a club, my decision.
Okay, and where do we stand now? Do you think he's played his last game for the club?
That's a very good question. I completely honest, transparent, I don't know.
Right, okay. Has there been any offers for him? Is he close to leaving?
There is activity around him. We're not close to get it done.
Right. I mean, just looking from where I am, where we are, it looks now it's more of a matter of when he leaves the club rather than if he leaves the club. Is that fair?
Yeah, I guess that's fair approach. Yeah.
So how big a blow is it, or is it a big blow if he leaves?
Let's talk about that when it's happened.
Good interview. John Southall there and Thomas Frank. I think that tells you everything you need to know. 08085 909 693. The lines are open for 606. And Brentford fans, I suspect you're going to want to talk. Let's take you back up to Scotland. We've had the draw for the quarterfinals of the Scottish League Cup. Let's go back to Celtic Park. Ailey Barber.
Yes, Steve, we'll start with the holders Rangers. They face the free-scoring Dundee. They've scored 29 goals in their 7 games this season, so a potential tricky one for Rangers. Celtic, they've got another home tie after this 3-1 win here today. They now face Championship side Falkirk, who were shock 2-0 winners yesterday against Hearts. The losing finalists last season, Aberdeen, they've got another home tie against Spartans from League 2, who have already knocked out Premiership opposition with a 1-0 win over Ross County yesterday. And the final tie are the 2 others who booked their place today Friday as Motherwell host Dundee United. So the quarter-final draw in full: Aberdeen against Spartans, Celtic against Falkirk, Motherwell against Dundee United, and Rangers against Dundee. And those ties will take place on the weekend of the 21st and 22nd of September.
Thank you very much, Ailey. Let's nip back to Ellen Road. Magic weekend. Hull KR on course for victory over Catalan. Sharon.
They have, and their 7th try has just gone in through Kalepi Tanganoa. That follows up an effort from Ryan Hall. He scored off the back of a pass from Dean Hadley that wouldn't have looked out of place with the Harlem Globetrotters. So the kick Tanganoa's try, but Hull KR lead Catalan's Dragons by 30 points to 4.
And the second half is getting underway at Stamford Bridge. John Murray.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, lines open for 606 as well. Right now, 08085 909 693. Second half begins. Manchester City leading by 1-0. Pat Nevin sitting alongside me, and City have made a change right at the start of the second half. I'm sorry to see that Savinho's not coming out for the start of the second period. However, great to see Phil Foden back on the pitch.
Yeah, certainly a player, Phil Foden, who didn't do as well. As he'd like to at the Euro. Was fabulous player that he is, and what season he had last season. But you know, if you're a Chelsea fan, you're thinking, right, Savinho's off, that's good, and then you look, oh my goodness, it's Foden.
Yeah, so Chelsea win the ball back after it was given away by Gvardiol, but Gvardiol's got to his feet, won it back, and actually passed it here to Doku, right down in front of the two managers on the side of the pitch. Doku races past them and then cuts back under pressure from Lavia, the former Manchester City youngster, starting a competitive match. Romeo Lavia for Chelsea for the first time here. I think he's acquitted himself quite well actually in the midfield. Chelsea team: Sanchez in goal, Gusto, Fofana, Colwill and Cucurella. Then Caicedo and Lavia, with Fernandez the captain, with Palmer and Kunku and Jackson completing the front line. And Manchester City now with Foden on the right, but Ederson in goal, Lewis Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol, Kovacic with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, Foden on the right, Doku on the left now, and Haaland through the middle. And the news, if you just switched on, didn't hear it earlier, Raheem Sterling completely left out against his former club and releasing a statement after the team news was confirmed. Oh, Sanchez has given the ball away to De Bruyne, and De Bruyne chips it right across the 6-yard box. That could have been dicey for Chelsea, and they're fortunate that it's ended up only in a throw-in to the home team over there.
Yep, was it 2 or 3 goals in last night's match of the day given away by teams playing out from the back, and there's been a couple of occasions even in this game. A couple of goalkeepers got lucky yesterday, and on that occasion Sanchez got very lucky.
Yeah, Raheem Sterling releasing a statement just after the team was confirmed that he wasn't in the 20, so I'm sure that'll be something that Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will be talking about on 606 later. But 1-0, they'll be talking about this match as well. City, I would say, Pat, just with their noses in front.
Just about, but not a great deal. I don't think City have been absolutely on their game. They've not looked sharp. Actually, physically, you know, physique-wise and fitness-wise, Chelsea look at least as good, if possibly not better. But the technique that he showed just now and again from 1 or 2 players, particularly the wide players for City, and of course in that one pivotal moment from that man Haaland. And to be fair, apart from the goal, honestly, what has Haaland done? It's just about the square root of nothing. Does it matter?
How many times do we say that?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And then he ends up with 52 goals one season, 38 the next.
By the way, don't take it as a negative. No. That's a positive. I'm saying well done there.
So no Rodri, but all okay for Manchester City. Rodri has got a problem. Remember, he went off at half-time with a hamstring problem in the Euro final. Here's Kovacic playing in his position. Kovacic then is dispossessed. Good tackle by Caicedo. Caicedo then forward to Fernandez. Now Lavia near the centre circle. Rolls it through the middle to Jackson, who did have the ball in the net in the first half, but was in an offside position. Palmer now. Palmer's ball right across. Jackson trying to find a way through. Too congested. They got in one another's way, actually. Fernandez and Jackson, 2 defenders. The central defenders were in there too, and it came and went.
Yeah, I think Enzo almost takes it off the feet of Jackson there, who just wanted to get it out of his feet there. And that's just Enzo desperate to get involved in the game, because he's playing in the 10 role, but he's not had a great effect in this game.
Pat Nevin, former Everton, Chelsea, Scotland winger, with us here on 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC, on BBC Sounds as well. And Fernandez is muscularly challenged by Akanji, and referee Anthony Taylor says that's a free kick just inside his own half. Beautiful afternoon, it's warm, it's pleasant, it's the first weekend of the season, all those cold winter nights to come, but we can enjoy this for what it is here. It is summer football as Colwell passes it forward now over the halfway line to Fernandez. Out on the left flank, comes back into Caicedo. One more match to be played after this in these opening round of Premier League fixtures. Leicester against Tottenham, Enzo Maresca's former club. That's tomorrow night. We'll have news of that during the Monday night club, the first Monday night club of the new Premier League season, when Darren Fletcher will be presenting on 5 Live from 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And then next weekend, your Saturday commentaries, Tottenham Everton is the 3 o'clock, and then Aston Villa Arsenal 5:30, 5 Live, the place to hear that on Saturday. But everything covered as Doku is challenged and dispossessed on the halfway line. Forward from Caicedo, Jackson with the run through the middle, but Ederson quickly out, claiming the ball near the edge of his own box, underarms it to Bernardo Silva. It's been quite quiet, you know, Bernardo Silva, by his standards in this match.
Well, I'll just say, both him and De Bruyne, they don't look as sharp as I've seen them before, but as you say, it's early season, not quite mid-season form. You remember what it's like. It's painful for the first 3, 4, 5 games, and then you feel nothing. You can just run and run and run. But getting that match fitness is hard for some players.
Yeah, Manchester City will be playing Ipswich, newly promoted Ipswich, at the Etihad next Saturday afternoon, whereas Chelsea, you'll hear their match at Wolves next Sunday on 5 Live at 2 o'clock. Here's De Bruyne. De Bruyne now to Doku on the left-hand side. Doku, Gusto in front of him, square to De Bruyne, tries to slip it in, a tricky deflection, Bernardo Silva, Haaland left foot, saved by Sanchez to his right. Decent save, diving to his right. Haaland trying to pick out the top corner, not quite.
Yeah, I mean it's come straight to him, so he's not been able to develop enough power. And you know, Haaland's like so unusual, he can develop power from absolutely nowhere, but he has to snatch at it slightly. But typical Haaland, it falls to him. Just one touch, just smack it towards goal with power and hope for the best. Save for the goalkeeper, but he should save that one.
And when you think about it, you know, remember Sanchez had his injury problems last season. Petrovic played for much of the season for Chelsea, but he's saved now. That one there from Haaland. De Bruyne shot in the first half. There was that Doku effort that was spectacularly saved, and Bernardo Silva as well, the save with his legs. So the save count from the Chelsea goalkeeper is mounting.
It's going up, but the same isn't happening at the other end so far. And that's why I suspect at some point he's going to make a change. There has been a tactical change by Chelsea, and it's something that Gusto's been asked quite a lot of times to go and walk into midfield. As we speak to you just now, he's at right fullback. But as soon as Chelsea get the ball, he flies forward and he's either a right midfielder or a right winger. Puts a little bit of stress on the defence, but they need to be positive, Chelsea.
But as a former Manchester City man, Enzo Maresca, you'd expect that.
Yeah, exactly. I think Pep might see that one coming.
I think he might have sensed it. He might even have manifested it, Pat, as De Bruyne plays it back into his own half to Akanji. Akanji running back to its own penalty area with Chelsea runners. Has to pass it back to Ederson, whose touch took it wide. And the clearance drifts out of play just next to where Pep Guardiola suddenly bursts into life and claps his hands above his head with for the intention of Ederson to try and find Doku down the left-hand side. 7 minutes played in the second half, and still the only goal of the match. It's not like last season's thriller, the 4-4 draw. It certainly held the attention, though, this one.
It has, but I mean, part of the reason for it is Chelsea are playing a 4-2-3-1. And if you do that, that's 4 and 2. They're quite defensive, especially as your fullbacks don't get forward. Look, one is now.
Good header by Nkunku for Cucurella. Tried to pull it across, but Foden was there inside his own penalty area. That's the sort of position we saw him in, arguably too often for England. As Haaland is that upended near the centre circle by Fofana.
It looks like he's not going to fill out his yellow card. That's a wipeout.
Haaland is okay.
Can we call that old school?
I thought that was a certainty for a yellow card.
I mean,
but no.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big, strong lad, and he's got to let him know he's there when he possibly can.
Well, he succeeded in that. kick emoji. Here's Foden. Now forward for Lewis. Lewis on the right-hand side. His cut back is straight into the path of Cucurella, who is fouled, just eased over by Bernardo Silva. That's like the opposite of what we saw between Fofana and Haaland, the two heavyweights on the halfway line. Bernardo Silva and Cucurella together. That was flyweight.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Nothing. I didn't say a word.
Well, I'm trying to be sounding better about it.
Flyweightist.
But it'd be interesting. Be interested to see how Haaland reacts to that. He was thumped, but I don't actually think it's had an effect on him anyway whatsoever. So the next time ball comes in the box, let's see how he reacts.
Palmer, nicely. Still deep inside his own territory. One of the many interesting things here is, what is Maresca going to do? All of these new signings on the bench, who's he going to use? As Doku, I think, has overrun that down the left. He has, so they'll just run out of play. So cheers. We've got a whole line of substitutes now, because you can send out 5 substitutes at a time this season.
And
so
there are 10 players in a row.
It's like a battalion of substitutes warming up on the side of the pitch. It's like another crowd watching the action.
The thing is, Doku put it down the line, then had to run off the pitch. And honestly, all 10 of the players were almost in his way there.
Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. 6:06 is on the way. 08, 085, 909, 693. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Lavia playing the ball back into the penalty area to Sanchez, who shapes the pass to Cucurella, who's over there on the left-hand side. And that pass, actually, a little heavy, is given as a throw-in, which is being disputed by Nkunku, with Lewis already in position, having taken a ball off a cone, ready to take the throw-in on the left-hand side.
Yeah, but Nkunku cleverly kept the other ball on the pitch.
He did, he dropped it on the pitch. So 1-0 Manchester City lead. We heard what's happening in the 100, the men's match coming up. In the one-day cup semi-finals, they sound interesting as well. I'll just update you on those when we get a chance. With Lavia on the edge of the box, Lavia turns, slips the ball forward towards Caicedo, now continuing through the middle. The Palmer, who tried to hit the pass to the run of Gusto, who would have been away, but City had too many players in sky blue shirts in the centre circle, and they were able to block it. Now Foden, again, as Pat said, wasn't able to get a goal at the Euros. I mean, he did everything but hit the post a couple of times, offside position. Thought he was excellent in the first half against the Dutch. Didn't happen for him in the final against the Spanish. Here is Rico Lewis, who couldn't have been too far away from selection. Now out to the right-hand side to Akanji. Foden sees the run of Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva now back to Foden. Those two working together as they have so often. Foden's pass, that's cut out by Colwill. Comes back to Bernardo Silva, who goes back towards the halfway line. Forward again from Manchester City. They know that if they get a second goal in this match, then that's probably it. Ball swirled across from Bernardo Silva. That's blocked on the edge of the 6-yard box. Comes out again, and that's a foul by Akanji. And
I'm not sure it was, actually.
It's not been given as a foul, it's just a throw-in.
Again, Enzo's getting very, very frustrated there. He can't get involved in the game. Anthony Taylor, the big action, say you leant back into the player and went down. And to be honest, I'm not against this, when referees see the little tricks and the little scams and the little cons.
Yeah, throw-in taken, and I'll tell you the answer to the question that I posed, Pat. I think you've seen him already. Pedro Neto is going to be the first Chelsea substitute. The big signing, over £50 million, Chelsea's biggest signing of the summer. He's ready to come on, and he's going to take the place of Christopher Nkunku. So a straight swap there. Pedro Neto, great talent. I'm sure you'll probably have seen him. Certainly if you're a Wolves fan, you'll know all about him. 5 years at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Had his problems with injuries last season, but here he is now being cheered on. Chelsea's new number 19, the Portuguese international.
Right, I understand that. I mean, absolute natural in that position there. Late for late in the position. And Nkunku, big hopes for him when he came to Chelsea. He's had all his problems with injuries last season as well. People thought he was an out-and-out striker. He's not. That's not the strength of his position. But out wide, he's had limited effect in the game today.
Yep, so he's on the field. Over there on the left-hand side, he's grown his hair a little longer. There's a few highlights in it as well since I last saw him. Here's Caicedo on the halfway line. 1-0 Manchester City lead. Chelsea begin to move it. Fernandes, Palmer on the right wing. Palmer begins to move infield. Square from him to Caicedo. Onto his right foot. Shoots straight into Bernardo Silva. Caicedo gets it back. Fernandes ball right across the 6-yard box. And Lewis for City at the far post with Neto arriving. Lewis turns it behind and is praised by his teammates. Although I think he might. Did he collide with a post?
Well, either that,
he's got a problem.
Or that Neil got a little bit of him as well. That's a brilliant ball in there. I mean, it's superb defending there. There's only one thing he do, and he has to get himself in exactly the right position there, Lewis, and he does so. But Neto, that would have been his first touch in a Chelsea jersey. That wouldn't have been bad, would it?
And he did. Lewis actually, he managed to get his hands up, so he blocked his fall, but he put his hands on the post. He's okay. Here's the corner, comes in, and actually hits Fofana at the near post when he was trying to twist. And therefore City are able to clear up to Doku. Doku's got a run here. Gusto trying to catch him. Doku's away from Gusto. There is cover from Caicedo. Doku plays it square, looking for Haaland, but he passed it straight into the path of Lavia, and the Chelsea man was able to calmly run the ball away.
I know, Doku's absolutely furious with himself that he didn't have a shot. There was an angled shot on there, but when you've got Haaland in the middle, you almost have to take a chance and try and find him. He couldn't do it.
Here's a ball from Palmer. Lewis had to really get down, and he was in a full-on sprint with Neto down the left-hand side, and the teenager for Manchester City just got there. 1-0 City lead. The champions in front through Haaland's first goal of the season. That is now 64 goals in 67 Premier League appearances for Erling Haaland, as Neto has possession, ball at his feet. Chelsea, the royal blue shirts, shorts, white socks. Here's Cucurella, middle of the Manchester City half. Some noise now coming out of the Matthew Harding stand. Neto, left-footed cross, near post header, right across the face of goal from Fernandes. Played back in by Gusto, near the penalty spot. That's cleared. Lavia back in. Chance for Jackson on the volley, but straight at Ederson. He was stretching for that, dropped over his head. It was close, only yards out, but straight at Ederson.
Yeah, and we're expecting maybe a flag to come up. There was no flag there. He was onside there. That was a fantastic opportunity there, and Chelsea couldn't take it. Look, they've made a couple of changes just now. The changes I was asking for before. Cole Palmer has moved much more central now. Should have happened much earlier, but it's happening now. Gusto's gone much wider. Chelsea are going to start taking the chances now. The fans can see it. They can feel it just now. And the Man City players, as soon as we change and you're more positive against the team, trust me, the Man City players feel it as well. Let's see what Pep Guardiola can do to change it, to stop the flow going all the dark blue way.
What a chance that was really for Jackson. It was a strange one, the way it dropped over him and he turned, but I mean he was 5 yards out either side of Ederson.
Yeah.
That was the equaliser.
He's done nothing wrong there. He just gets on target. That's right.
Cross from Caicedo, bounces off Neto, and it bounces through to the goalkeeper Ederson, who's able to slither out and gather the ball.
He's been a wee bit more busy of late, Ederson, hasn't he, in that goal? He's had to come out a few times for through balls. Jackson's still looking very lively and very fast indeed, but you can feel the lift. And Chelsea, I mean, they generally do like, facing out the Matthew Harding in the second half, but they really have been lifted now. One change, but also the change in the system when they're on the ball has made a huge difference. They look the more likely to score right now.
And now the interesting changes are going to continue for Chelsea and Enzo Maresca, because the former Barcelona teenager, the 18-year-old Marc Guiu, is about to enter the field for his Premier League debut, having scored pre-season, shown what he can do.
Well, he was starting consistently as a centre forward during the pre-season, so he is very highly rated.
Yep. So he'll be on once Chelsea get a chance. 1-0 Manchester City lead. But we're seeing more of Chelsea as a threat. However, that opens up the possibilities at the other end for Manchester City. Neto just keeps the ball in on the left-hand side, still inside his own half, passes it forward looking for Jackson, and then Akanji's able to work it quite cleverly, actually, to Kovacic. Kevin De Bruyne now. De Bruyne looks both ways, that strawberry blonde hair flopping in the sunlight in West London. Bernardo Silva drops back into his own half, turns, still possession inside his own territory, so Sharon Shortall can bring us up to date from the Super League Magic weekend.
And it's been a dominant afternoon for Hull Kingston Rovers against Catalan's Dragons. 8 tries they've scored in all, the final one going to 9 levels. Hull KR are back at the top of Super League. It finished Catalan's Dragons 4, Hull KR 36.
Manchester City with the ball with Doku on the left-hand side, clips it across, but that's over Foden, and it just drops away out towards the far side. We'll have news on the Huddersfield Castleford match at Elland Road from 6:30. So you'll hear the updates on that on 5 Live during 6:06. Lines are open, 08, 085, 909, 693. In those 2 one-day cup semi-finals, by the way, Leicester chasing 335 to win, 226 for 4 after 38 overs. That could be a good finish. Doku, now to De Bruyne curling it in, right-footed, Foden arriving, Haaland chests it down, defender was there, it comes out, the shot from Lewis is driven into the net, but the referee has spotted an infringement. I think the foul by Haaland on Colwill.
Yeah, I actually think, I was wondering about offside before that as well. Lewis is complaining about it. We're going to have a look at it to see if what mistake the referee might have made in there. There's quite a lot going on. Possible offside, possible free kick.
I've got to have a look, but I've got the feeling that that's been given for a foul on Colwill.
Yeah, follow through from Haaland with his left foot there.
Oh yeah, and it's a yellow card for Haaland as well.
For goodness sake, this centre forward's got to go for the ball. If it's in front of the goal. That's a nonsense.
He's gone for the ball. I mean, he's on the ground. Haaland's almost sitting on the ground. Colwill's there. He's gone for the ball.
Unless I've missed something. If I missed something, if you see something that I've not seen, because there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of contact, but Colwill stayed down.
There was contact. And yellow card then for Haaland to go with the goal that he scored in the first half. So Colwill receives treatment. Haaland is still being spoken to by referee Taylor. Leicestershire now 248 for 7 after 43, chasing 335 to win, and Warwickshire chasing 248 to win. They are 164 for 7 after 41.3 overs, so it could be close finishes in both. Now we're going to see Mark Guiu, the 18-year-old former Barcelona youngster, signed for, I mean, £5 million. That's like spare change around here. And a double change. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall is on as well, Pat, who Enzo Maresca obviously knows so well. Excellent last season, player of the year for Leicester City, finished top of the championship, promoted back into the league, and now he's a Chelsea player. And that VAR decision just being confirmed now. Lewis putting the ball into the net, but confirmation on the screens inside the ground that the goal does not stand. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1 remains the score.
Trying to see if it's Lavia, the player who's gone off there. Trying to see if Enzo's gone and sat back a little bit further there.
It was Lavia. And
Enzo go and sit a little bit deeper. I think he'll be a little bit more comfortable there.
And then that's Jackson who came off.
Yes, it was.
As well, yeah. So Jackson off, Lavia off, and Kunku off earlier. So the 3 substitutes so far. Chelsea debuts for them all in the Premier League in competitive matches. Pedro Neto, Mark Guiu, and Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who was such a big favourite at Leicester City. And now here he is, Chelsea, white boots on. He's got his white socks 3/4 of the way up his calves, fair hair. I actually saw him make his debut for Leicester in the FA Cup. It was you and I together, in fact, at Brentford. That was the day I poured the coffee on my lap, I seem to remember, at the old Brentford Stadium. But, you know, he's really made strides, hasn't he, in the game since then?
He's a lovely player to watch. He's one of those creatives that, to be fair, England weren't always great at producing, but are absolutely fantastic at it now with the likes of Foden, obviously the likes of Cole Palmer, etc. So, really good player, and you know, he's played in the top division. He's been the most important player, certainly at Leicester last season. So, just what Chelsea needed, and he sat there right in the number 10 position and allowed Enzo to go back to a place where he's much more comfortable.
Yeah. So for the remainder of this match, about a quarter of the match to go on 5 Live, 1-0 Manchester City lead. But Chelsea now with a different look. Caicedo and Fernandes together, with Palmer on the right still, but then Dewsbury Hall in the middle, Neto on the left, and Guiu has almost got Dewsbury Hall up next to him.
Yeah, but he's almost playing as a 10, so he can go up there forward and he can come back and he can just go and run around and try and get some space. I mean, that looks quite balanced from Chelsea just now. Lavia's done nothing wrong, but you know, he needs to get himself match fitness. But the fact that they had those 3 players on, Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo, none of them really great creative players. You need more than at home against anyone.
Here is De Bruyne, who might just have been fouled, he was, by Fofana. The Chelsea fans don't like it, but he did just catch him. De Bruyne went down, free kick is given. And a free kick to Manchester City, who continue to lead by 1-0. 20 minutes to go, Pat.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne has taken a few hits in this game, hasn't he? You know, and sometimes takes some players, especially not the younger ones. By the way, I have no idea whatsoever what he's complaining about there. Fofana. That is as clear a tackle and a hit from the back as you'll ever see.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, who missed so much of last season, 5 months of it, still came through, won the title yet again. Manchester City, champions in 6 of Guardiola's 8 seasons as the manager. Denied the double-double by Manchester United right at the end of the campaign. Akanji, long and forward from him. Colwell was underneath that for Chelsea. Now Caicedo. Here is Dewsbury Hall, the number 22, Chelsea's number 22, with the fair hair, turns, gives it back to Cucurella. Now Enzo Fernandez again with a flourish. He passes it out to the left-hand side. Pedro Neto, little change of feet from him, back to Enzo Fernandez. Neto makes a run into the box, but Fernandez delays the pass, which he now hits high out to the right-hand side to Gusto. Infield from Gusto, Caicedo. Chelsea enjoying this possession inside the Manchester City half on this warm afternoon here, as they attack towards the Matthew Harding stand with Neto again. Neto, little ball to Fernandez, back now to Cucurella. Cucurella's cross towards the back post. Ederson comes, doesn't catch it. He actually dropped it. Slipped through his fingertips, but it fell to Manchester City. Oh, but Doku's now given it away. Caicedo, square from him. Dewsbury Hall, square again. 25 yards out. Fernandez just holds off the challenge of Kovacic. Now Cucurella works it back to the left-hand side. They're putting good pressure on here. Neto with a cross, but there's no one there. All the way across the penalty area. Gvardiol just allows it to bounce and then lifts it away out of play for a throw-in. He was trying to get a deflection, actually, but he missed the Chelsea player.
Balance of play. Chelsea look more likely just now. And that was before they made the changes. We really have got a little spring in the step, and part of it's the fact that, you know, Silva's not young. Kevin De Bruyne is not young anymore. I'm not saying they're ancient past it or anything like that. You know, Kovacic, again, not the youngest, not a spring chicken. When you come to the end of games against a lot of young players, and that's what Chelsea are famous for just now, that should give them some sort of advantage in these closing 20 minutes or so.
Throw in up the line for City. Haaland is being wrestled by Fofana and is giving as good as he's getting, and he's won a throw in just in front of Pep Guardiola, who just walks away, speaks to Gvardiol, and the Croatian left back as he is, the number 24, sturdily built, bearded man, tall, is able to take the throw, which he made as if he was going to throw back into his own half, but turns and goes forward towards Haaland, who keeps his feet under pressure from Fofana. Fofana and Haaland again. Gusto's there as well. It bounces along the dead ball line for Fofana, who turns and clears it away. Gvardiol does well there. Little ball to Bernardo Silva. Square now. De Bruyne just outside the D. Curls the shot. Probably a yard wide at the top right corner.
Do you know, 99% of other players, you say, why are you not giving it out to Foden there? Draw the defender, slip it to Foden. He's got a one-on-one with the keeper from a fairly decent angle, but he's got a one-on-one. However, it's Kevin De Bruyne. There's nobody more likely to go from there from 18 yards. But in the end, it's still the wrong decision. Should have played Foden in.
Pat Nevin with us. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. 5 live in the World Service from the BBC. Lewis does well. Turns, opens his body, plays it out to the right-hand side. Lewis continues his run into the box, but the cross is blocked by the sliding Fofana behind. Corner to Manchester City from the right.
Yeah, brilliant play. Last couple of moves from Manchester City have looked a little bit more spirited there. Lewis gets to the corner there, and once again, if you just look in the middle, Haaland, 2 centre-backs marking him, had that ball get through past the defender, tapping, he was there, nobody near him. How he finds space in that middle of that pack there is incredible.
Well, I'm not ruling out a Chelsea equaliser, but neither can you rule out the Manchester City second.
It's still absolutely open. This could go anywhere.
Yeah, and it's a corner from the right that Anthony Taylor just saying, hang on a minute. Then he blows his whistles, pushing and pulling inside the penalty area. Corner taken short. Oh, De Bruyne, it's a breakdown in communication with Bernardo Silva, and the two of them look at one another a bit like Dan Evans and Andy Murray playing the doubles at the Olympics when one of those shots
did that happen?
How did that happen? Goal kick Chelsea.
Do you know what? It was a brilliant ball through. And it's one of those classic ones where you don't play the player through, you zip it in towards his feet, knowing that he's got a touch and can take it. Except the player has to be watching when you do that. Silva wasn't.
Yeah. The other thing to watch at the moment is Haaland and Fofana, who are having quite a ding-dong.
Clever from Fofana, by the way, because he knows that Haaland is on a yellow card just now. He is nipping at him, he's pushing him, he's elbowing them. You know, if both of them would get booked for it, well, Fofana wouldn't mind one little bit, because that would mean that Haaland would get sent off. He has to calm down a little bit, Haaland.
Yeah. Great to see Fofana back after the knee problems that he's had. When he emerged at Leicester, he looked like a really, really good talent in central defence. De Bruyne now to Doku. Doku gets the ball stationary, actually, at his feet. Back to Gvardiol. Kevin De Bruyne again looks over his shoulder. It's accentuated that because of the bobbing of his hair. Akanji now back to Foden on the right hand side, but Foden quickly under pressure from Cucurella. Memories there of the Euros final back in Berlin just a few weeks ago now. Ederson, ball in front of his penalty area, to the right to Diaz, now to Akanji on the right flank, and it goes back to the goalkeeper again. 15 minutes to go, and it is finally poised.
It is really, and you know, at the moment there's not been a lot of changes being made by Pep Guardiola. It looks as if he doesn't feel, he believes he can do that just now, but we shall see if that carries on. By the way, Rico Lewis, we have to have a word about him in a minute.
Okay, here's Doku through the middle. Doku tries to roll the ball into the penalty area, but Fofana did well, got there first ahead of Haaland, then just got the ball away to Palmer, and now it's out to the far side to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, who is up against that man, Lewis, Pat.
See, what he's done is, Pep Guardiola's, well, again, come back to it in a minute.
Long pass from Fernandes, down the right-hand side to Gusto. Gusto finds Palmer, edge of the area, back to Gusto near the dead ball line, but the cross is blocked by Diaz, still inside the penalty area. Gusto hits the ball straight into Kovacic, and it ricochets behind for what Anthony Taylor immediately says is a corner. It's not a penalty, it's not handball.
Yeah, I know, it has hit his arm, there's no doubt about that, but if he'd have been at the meetings you and I have been at in the last week or so, you would know that you're not going to get a penalty for that this season. Again, we'll show the replays of it. He's tried to get his hand out of the way. He's not going to give a penalty kick for that, I don't think. He's just inches away from the ball when it was kicked. We shall see. We'll give it a little bit of a look at it.
Yeah, that's confirmed. It's a corner. It's a corner. And Enzo Maresca on the halfway line, not making too much of a fuss about that. I think you would understand that. It is a corner. They've had the same explanation that we've had as well, the coaches and the players. So it is a corner. Palmer to take this, although Fernandes is there as well. 1-0 Manchester City lead. Palmer plays it into the back post, but Akanji stretching near the penalty spot, actually heads it away, comes out to Dewsbury-Hall, and now Dewsbury-Hall, Caicedo. Again, Dewsbury-Hall with that glittery Chelsea badge flashing on his chest. Back to Dewsbury-Hall again, square from him. Caicedo's 30 yards out, comes further back to the centre circle to Gusto. Fernandes now, Fernandes the captain. Last time Chelsea played in the Premier League, Conor Gallagher was the captain at the end of last season. Here is Dewsbury-Hall. Neto again, skips past his man, right footed ball into the penalty area, but onto the head of Diaz, who heads it away. Headed further away by Gvardiol, not cleared though. Chelsea come again. Dewsbury-Hall and Neto, two of the debutants together, Premier League debutants for Chelsea. Flick back to Pedro Neto, then further back, 30 yards out, Caicedo wastes it, played it through the inside left position, beyond anyone in a Chelsea shirt. Goal kick, Manchester City. Just over 10 minutes to play, and still City lead through Haaland's first half goal.
It's not really Caicedo's strong suit, that one, is it? Through balls from about 40 yards out, but the rest of his game's not been too bad. I was talking before about Lewis. So, you know, Pep Guardiola has obviously seen the tactical change that's been made by his own mate Maresca, and he's done exactly the same thing. And Lewis has been going into right midfield, right wing, getting into dangerous areas, just the same way as Gusto was doing the other side. And those are, for a long period of time, becoming the most important players on this pitch.
Lewis right now is away over on the far side, on the right-hand side, sprints forward as City pass it forward. Cucurella in a challenge with Foden has has gone down. The ball's off the field for a throw into Manchester City.
It's a cramp in the back of his leg, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's claiming. Now, I have to say, I was just about to say about 2 minutes ago that Cucurella, during the Euros, did spend a lot of time on the ground. There was a lot of rolling about, and let's be honest about it, feigning injury. He's not done any of that in this game so far. It's as if certain things you can do when you're playing international, you don't get away with in the Premier League. I do think that's not acting. I think he's got a little bit of cramp there. Yeah. This is a bit of a worry.
Well, they've indicated that he needs to be substituted, and so we might well see another debutant for Chelsea, Renato Vega, one of the less heralded signings, and yeah, he's going to leave the pitch straight away. No chances with him, having gone all the way with Spain. Goes down like that, even if it does look like it's cramp and he's back on his feet. Off he goes on the far side of the field, and this Portuguese under-21 international, Renato Vega, who was signed from Basel for almost £12 million, is the next debutant for Chelsea. So that is 4 changes and 4 debuts.
Yep. Interestingly, Chelsea fans, well, quite a few of them have said to me, in fact, you and I met one on the way into the ground, who said they're not too sure about every single player. They don't actually know what they look like. There's been so many in, and certainly new left back there, it's not going to be Chilwell. And we shall see how he does against Foden for these last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about Raheem Sterling's absence today. No Ben Chilwell either. Here is Doku. Doku now, as Manchester City continue to lead by 1-0. We're now into the last 10 minutes. City, 10 minutes plus added time away from an opening win in their latest defence of their title as they go for 5 wins in a row. Cucurella, I think, is getting a bit of stick from the Manchester City fans in the shed stand as he walks in front of them. So the Chelsea fans in this stand here respond by getting to their feet and applauding the Spanish European Championship winner back to the dugout.
If you would have watched Cucurella against Germany, don't worry, he's just there.
Yes. Yeah, he was, once that happened, that alleged handball, he was booed everywhere he went in Germany.
And indeed in the Spain game after that, every time he touched the ball, it was ridiculous.
By the German fans in the crowd. 1-0 Manchester City lead. Manchester City on this 23-match unbeaten run in the Premier League. It was Villa Park the last time that they were beaten in early December. Last defeat in the Premier League.
I was at that game and they were well beaten.
Yes, they
absolutely deservedly beaten.
That was when Villa beat Manchester City and Arsenal in the space of a few days, wasn't it? Here is Akanji for Manchester City, forward towards Lewis. Lewis now gets his head down and off he goes. Foden in front of him, Haaland through the middle, gives it to Foden. Foden tried to flick it forward to Haaland on the edge of the box, but got that all wrong. Dewsbury Hall, Lewis is out of position now, but the pass from Dewsbury Hall. Neto allowed it to run, and as he did so, it ran over the white line and out for a throw.
Painful of your new player coming on, Neto. That is exactly where you want the ball. It's out wide. Like the fullback's gone. I mean, he's miles and miles behind you there, so he's never going to catch you, Rico Lewis. So you've got a centre back coming out, and he just couldn't collect it. What an opportunity.
1-0 Manchester City. Earlier Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. For that match, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton would love to hear from you. 08085 909 693. Big win for Sunderland against Sheffield Wednesday in the Championship. Bolton 0, Wrexham 0, Notts County 2, Fleetwood 2. I know there were FA Cup ties again as well this afternoon. Dundee United, Motherwell and Celtic through in the League Cup. Talk about it all on 606 once we wrap things up here on 5 Live's Premier League Sunday, the first one of the new season. And Kovacic, this has become one of those words that we use to describe matches like this. Absorbing. Here is Foden. Foden turns, gives it back to Kovacic. Foden right at the centre circle. Time is beginning to run out for Chelsea, but just the 1 goal in it. Kovacic through the middle, back it goes to Diaz. Now to the left-hand side to Doku. Doku taking on Gusto. Tries to go past him. There's cover there. Doku's got the ball across, but Sanchez is able to drop down and hold it. Let's get another update from the 100 at Lord's. Atik Nawaz.
Yes, indeed. The Oval Invincibles batting first. Put into bat by the Southern Brave here at Lord's in the men's final. They've made a brisk start. It was a bit quiet a second ago, but Jewel Jacks has just hit the first 6 of the final. 8 runs from 6 balls for the Oval Invincibles. Early going here in the final.
Driving forward and shooting in! Sanchez diving to his right, got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. In off the post. Kovacic scores against his old club and wraps up the opening win for the defending champions Manchester City here at Stamford Bridge. The City players surround Mateo Kovacic. It was in the balance, but it's Pep Guardiola's side who've got the second goal. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2, and it looks like an opening defeat now for Enzo Maresca in his first match in charge of Chelsea.
Do you know what? If you're a Chelsea fan, it's probably the last player you were worried about on the Manchester City side, because his scoring ratio when he was at Chelsea was absolutely awful. Lovely player for Chelsea, but he's got the ball in his midfield and he's just cruised through two players. But the fact that he's thrown the eyes, he's pretending he's going to put it in, curled into the back post. Keeper's taken a little step to his left there, and what he's done is he's zipped it into the near post. Got a big hand on it, Sanchez, but not enough. And off, possibly even the post there. But that's killed Chelsea chances off, and Manchester City, without even being close to their best, seems to have done plenty.
By no means a regular scorer in his Chelsea days. I think
that's kind.
I think he only scored 6 goals for them, no more than 2 in any season. Mind you, that was the end that he scored that spectacular goal, that kicking horse of a goal against Liverpool, if you remember that, when he backpedaled and volleyed it in. It wasn't as good as that, but it's done the trick for Manchester City today.
A big relief for Manchester City, because Chelsea did look sharper as this second half went on. The changes they made, there was a lot of VAR check. We're getting up. I'll let you read that one out if you're a wee bit too late now. Yeah. But they're giving a sign up here that the VAR had checked the goal, but they're going to check every single goal.
Well, that was actually the VAR check for the handball by Kovacic at the other end, probably about 10 minutes ago.
Terrible about that Titanic, isn't it? It's a bit slow. That's far too slow. You've got to be quicker than that.
Yes. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2. And
it's an unusual thing, by the way, but
a stoppage now, by the way.
Stoppage now again for cramp, and it's an unusual thing. I mean, there's a lot of players. I mean, certainly Ten Hag was saying that these players aren't ready yet. They've not had the right amount of rest. And there are a lot of players who, they're back in the season, not 100% yet. Cucurella, understandably.
Well, I mean, so many Premier League players involved at the Euros, but quite a number who weren't. Players who were involved pre-season, players who weren't involved in pre-season.
And also asked to do things in pre-season which the managers and the medical staff would rather you didn't do. The travelling, to make money for the clubs. And it's kind of noticeable.
Yeah. However, some of the crowds in America for those friendly matches, those pre-season friendlies, 70,000, 80,000 people turning up to pay and watch a match that really is totally meaningless. Yeah. But it's a money spent.
Absolutely. It's bigger money spent on just the matches than 7,000 people. It's selling everything that you do with it.
Here we are. Look at us.
Massive thing to both of these clubs.
Yeah. Yet so many of the big stars not able to be a part of it either. However, Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2, and Manchester City now heading for victory, heading for an opening win, with Maresca standing down there on the touchline. Nothing he can do about it. It's gone to form. Ball to the edge of the area. Guiu turns, gets it back for Chelsea on the edge of the box. De Bruyne just touches that away as the challenge from Caicedo came in. The ball reaches Doku. Doku up against Gusto does well, but Doku shows some strength there, the Belgian player, and gives it back to his international teammate Kevin De Bruyne, who passes it back into his own half.
Yeah, controlled play there. I mean, they could have tried and pushed it there, but why do that just now if you're Manchester City? It's a long old season. They're 2-0 up, but you're away from home. Why take any chances now? And instead of being attacked there, giving a little chance to that man Haaland again. They've got the ball, they've got the Oles, and they're killing the game.
Yeah. And a little bit like the match that I was watching last night, the commentary on West Ham Aston Villa, one of the top 4 of last season away from home against a top half team. If there is to be a winner in the game, like it was last night, it's the away team who deserves to win it.
Certainly the chances that they've created have been a lot bit better, but it's been moments of genius. That's been the difference in the end.
Doku keeps his feet, challenged by Caicedo, and then there was the cover there, but the referee gives the free kick. He was caught, he was eased over, and actually his yellow card for the challenge by Caicedo. So free kick to Chelsea and a yellow card for Caicedo. 2-0 Manchester City lead. Lines open for 606 08 085 909 693 3. Robbie Savage, Chris Sutton, waiting to take your calls. 5 Live Football Daily podcast. We'll have all of the reaction, and our producer, our interviewer George Cummins, just off downstairs here. He will bring you the interviews that we'll hear from the tunnel. Doku, brilliant run. Doku into the area, then pulls it back, almost into the 6-yard box in the end. Tried to pull it back, but just passed it straight to an opponent, and Chelsea were able to clear.
Great skills. Brilliant.
Fantastic goal.
It would have been an amazing goal. It's one of those ones where you just try and scoop the keeper when he comes out, because you've done with 2 players, went straight through the middle, threw another one the wrong way, and you've just got the goalkeeper there. Now, the correct thing to do is to cut it back and try and find your striker. But in reality, it's 2-0 up. There's 10 seconds to go. You could have a go there, mate.
Have a go. Palmer across into the penalty area to Neto. Phil Foden as well blocks the attempted cross from Neto. Blue seats, Chelsea royal blue seats appearing all around the home sections now. I think the home fans know that it's not going to be a winning start for Chelsea. Indeed, it's going to be a losing start for Enzo Maresca and his team. All in all, really not a great day. I think a sensible starting lineup from Pat, as we were discussing earlier. He's brought substitutes on. He had the whole Raheem Sterling storm before the start of the match, so now he's going to face question after question after question about that downstairs. And you know, this is the life of the Chelsea manager in 2024.
And it won't change. Absolutely won't change as time goes by. You know, crisis what crisis, there'll be another one, there'll be a different one next week. However, the team, as you say, was safe, sensible, secure. He did make the changes, which I suspected were the sensible things to do. It did lead to a good 20 minutes where Chelsea were the sharper, cleverer team. But it's Manchester City. It's just the moments where the top players turn up. And even if he used to be a Chelsea player, particularly that second one, was a moment of absolute brilliance from Kovacic.
It was. They needed Jackson to score when he had that chance. Here's Dewsbury Hall, Neto. We're now into added time. So Manchester City closing in on victory. Kevin De Bruyne just fouls Cole Palmer. Palmer then plays it into Doku, but referee Taylor says you've taken it from the wrong place, so that means that Doku gets out of that little problem. Gusto on the right hand side. Gusto with the cross, but Gvardiol sticks out a leg, blocks it out for a throw down the right hand side. So Chelsea will be looking for their first Premier League points next Sunday as Palmer takes it on but then hits a shot that certainly nowhere near the standard of last season. Round about the kind of position that he scored in the European Championship final, but this one he pulled well wide and it's a goal kick. Yeah, next Sunday, Wolves, 2 o'clock. They've got to play Servette on Thursday in the first leg of the European playoff tie. But Wolves it is, which will not be straightforward.
No, it won't be straightforward. And particularly if you've played your first game and it's a home game and you've lost, it's quite disappointing. I don't think Chelsea have been terrible. They haven't been brilliant either. But they were so dependent last season on Cole Palmer. And to be fair, Cole looks not quite there yet, doesn't he? He's a long way away from the level of fitness and the level of brilliance he was last season, which is perfectly understandable. He's not taken much part in many of the games in pre-season. And without him, they don't look anywhere near as good.
No, they don't. Palmer, after a brilliant season really that he had with the 25 goals, player of the year. Jeremy Doku's been fouled by Fofana, so it's a free kick to Manchester City on the left-hand side. I think a third goal would be harsh. We're deep into added time. We're in the 4th minute of added time. 2-0 the score. Doku receives it. Palmer puts in the challenge, bounces out of play. Palmer, yeah, you can understand it. After coming on as a substitute in 5 of the matches for England and then thrillingly setting up the winner for Watkins in the semi-final, scoring that goal in the final, the only man to have scored for England in a final on foreign soil, a major senior final. Throw in for De Bruyne. Here's Haaland, scored the first goal, the opening goal in the first half. Doku is there as well, Chelsea men too, but the ball in the Chelsea right back position. It's cleared away by Fofana. Manchester City fans cheer because Doku coming from an offside inside their own half. I suppose the question will be, how many changes will he make? He'll obviously change the team for the Servette match, but in terms of who's done enough, who would you like to see starting for Chelsea at Wolves, who wasn't in the starting lineup today?
But there are certain players where you need to give them another 90. They need to get to match fitness. Cole Palmer, you'd almost think must play, because you've got to get him back to his very best.
Palmer to Gusto, cross from Gusto to the edge of the area, cleared away by Foden. They'd like a goal anyway in their first home match. I think it'll be too late if it comes. Here's Neto. Neto, he'll want to play at Wolves. Then back to Fernandes, who hits the shot that's juggled by Ederson. Juggled up in the air, but caught.
Best moment of the game from Fernandes, and one of the best moments of the game from Chelsea as well. Gets it on target there. A couple of little fumbles from Fernandes from Ederson today. Yep. A couple of bad passes as well from the back. So, you know, there are rustinesses in various parts. I mean, Haaland has scored the goal, but he's looked a wee bit lumbering in various parts of the game. Phil Foden, the brightest of sparks in English football last season, along with Cole Palmer, has not been his best, but it's been enough.
And there we are. The final whistle goes at Stamford Bridge. It's defeat for Chelsea and Enzo Maresca in his first match as the new head coach in the Premier League. 2-0 Manchester City have won it. The players go to one another, the Manchester City players. They've started this latest defence of their Premier League title in good style. A goal in each half from Haaland, Kovacic back against his old club. They've won it and they've deserved it.
Yeah, they have deserved it to some degree. Not a clear and easy win, and not Manchester City at their very, very best. But, you know, it's the oldest cliche in the book, and it's a cliche for a reason, because it's true. The best teams can win when they're not playing at their very, very best. And to win 2-0 away from home at Stamford Bridge with a number of players, well, Rodri missing number one, which is big news, but still managed to win. But players like De Bruyne have been okay, not without being brilliant. Foden not even starting, but a big highlight for them is Savinho. What a difference he's made. And let's hope that's not a big long injury that he's going to have to put up with. I doubt it. I think it's maybe a couple of weeks. But well done, Manchester City. They've started again, and they're going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, Chelsea fans will have to remember this is Manchester City that they've lost to here. Nevertheless, I'm sure many of their supporters who long ago, many of them will have been in Fulham Broadway and on the tube probably thinking, what does he do next, Enzo Maresca? But for Manchester City, there we go. They roll on into the new Premier League season. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2.
Yeah, Pat, I think especially given Pep Guardiola, who we're seeing now walk down the touchline, all smiles, arm round Kevin De Bruyne, especially given he gave all of his players 4 weeks off, total rest, staggered, depending on when they finish the Euros. You take that into account, you take into account the fact that they didn't have Rodri today, they've won 2-0 away from home at Chelsea. Take that all day.
Oh, he's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. And it wasn't an absolute foregone conclusion.
No.
You know, it took a long time to get that second goal, and there was an uncertainty before that. Chelsea didn't make a host of chances in that period of time, but they looked sharper. And Dewsbury Hall come on, and he looked lively and sharp. So did Neto. But they have to get a little bit of understanding. Giroud, come on, didn't get a chance to see much of him either. But these players have to, you know, grow with each other, understand each other, gel into a unit. That's quite hard when there's about 40 of you. You've got to get a system where everybody knows each other, works together and understands each other. And that's the big job that listens to each other, and they know how to manage a game of football. And the management of the game of football in that second half was pretty spectacularly good from Manchester City. When they kill it, slow it down, they did. When they need to inject a little bit of pace, they managed to do that as well. And I have to say, if you'd have asked me beforehand, who'd be the most important player and score a goal at the end, would it be Kovacic? I wouldn't have said him. Yeah. But he's came up, walked up from the back and put that win into the bottom corner. And that's what, you know, make those decisions, big decisions, stick by them. And if you believe in the players, they'll absolutely do it. But there is so much more to come from this Manchester City side.
I think what we're seeing now here on the pitch inside Stamford Bridge shows you that Pep Guardiola, you know, probably knows that they're certainly not firing on all cylinders. Probably worried that there was no Rodri today, so he's actually called all of the players over, all of them together, the substitutes, everyone who was involved, and has gone over to the Manchester City supporters. You know, there's real pleasure here in the reaction from from Pep Guardiola and his team that they've been able to get this result here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at two players walking off, Foden and Grealish walking off. Neither player started. Grealish didn't come on today.
Made one substitution.
Yeah, which is amazing considering Chelsea were making odds. Okay, they were behind, they have to do that. But at the start of the season, with all those players, some of them being obviously clearly tired on the field, I've seen that early on in the game. A number of players like Silva, De Bruyne, Haaland looked tired at various points. But he kind of knew, actually, these are the players who know how to manage a game, and he stuck with it. And those 90 minutes, they'll always say the same. By the way, as we're chatting just now, Pep standing there talking to Cole Palmer. I wonder what he's saying. Why did I let you go?
I have to say, John, I did quite enjoy Erling Haaland, almost like some sort of Amdram stage director trying to push everybody else in front of the Manchester City fans to get a round of applause. He's done that before with some individual players, but it's almost like he's trying to push everybody in front of the City fans.
Yeah, that's right. He's just leaving the field now. Kevin De Bruyne's having a chat down there as well with John Stones is involved in that, and still Pep Guardiola and Cole Palmer.
That's raising eyebrows, I'll tell you.
Talking together, walking off the field together, slap on the back. Yeah, off they come.
Yeah, if that was anyone other than Cole Palmer, I think the Chelsea fans might not be particularly amused by it.
I'll tell you the fact that Chelsea clearly at the moment need to sell players.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get to sell him.
No.
I'm not saying Pep is, but you're wasting your time, mate. They can't sell him.
Yeah, of course, he has just signed a new contract to 2033.
Yeah.
2033.
I don't want to even think about that.
Let's just take it one game at a time, guys. John, Pat, thank you very much. John Murray, Pat Nevin inside Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2 after Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. So much to talk about. The Raheem Sterling statement, the Thomas Frank statement in a sense on Ivan Toney telling John Southall after the game that he thinks it's a fair assessment that Toney is likely to have played his last game for the club. And that's before you even think about the football itself. 08085 909 693. Chris Sutton, Robbie Savage with you for 606 after the latest news with Joe Critcher.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has arrived in Israel to push for a ceasefire deal with Hamas and the release of hostages in Gaza. At a meeting of his cabinet, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there were things his government could not be flexible on, and he accused Hamas of being obstinate. Police in Spain are searching for a man suspected of killing an 11-year-old boy with a sharp object on a football pitch. According to local media, he was attacked by a person wearing a hood this morning. The Home Office says it plans to treat extreme misogyny as a form of extremism. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, says there's been a rise in hatred of women, both online and on our streets. And all of the remaining 31 Ted Baker stores in the UK are set to close this week, putting more than 500 jobs at risk. The fashion brand's owner, No Ordinary Designer label, fell into administration in March.
Music Uncovered, the UK garage story, hosted by DJ Spoody and Jammy Supernova. I want to tell you all a little story. From US House and the Sunday scene, before the grime it was UKG from the early 90s nursery to the 30th year anniversary.
Join us as we rewind through the hits, pivotal figures and moments that took UK garage
And transformed into Britain's #1 party starting sound. We did it again. Put your dancing shoes on, down to the dance floor, let's get a move on. Music Uncovered, the UK garage story.
Listen now on BBC Sounds.
Are you ready to have your say? In the UK's biggest football debate, your teams, your views. Get ready. This is 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage on 5 Live.
Welcome to your Sunday 606, your football phone-in show as Man City win the Battle of the Blues at the Bridge.
Driving forward and shooting in! Sanchez diving to his right, got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it out. In off the post, Kovacic scores against his old club and wraps up the opening win for the defending champions Manchester City here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 2.
Oh, Christopher Phillips. To win in ways is the strong squad. Is the squad strong enough to make it in a row, Christopher.
Do you know what? I thought Arsenal, Rob, yesterday, they were so impressive with their victory against Wolves, but Manchester City today, they're sort of half-cooked at this moment in time. No Rodri, no problem, so comfortable. Manchester City, in my opinion, Rob, and yours, I think, the team to beat.
But the big talking point, Christopher, came from Chelsea pre-game, the Sterling statement.
Yeah, want to hear from Chelsea fans on this one, where you stand on the Raheem Sterling statement left out of the matchday squad by Enzo Maresca. That's the manager's right, and then all of a sudden Raheem Sterling releases a statement, wants clarity, he says, on the position of the club. Wants clarity. What's gone on? Too much player power, Rob. Enzo Maresca, if he was doing well enough, would have picked him. How do Chelsea fans feel about that? But it looks like Ben Chilwell no longer has a future at Chelsea as well. They have a top-heavy squad. Is Maresca making the right decisions?
City and Chelsea fans, call us on 08285 909 693. Earlier, the bees were buzzing.
It's a shot on the spin that's in. The first effort didn't make it in from Nathan Collins, who was up in support. But it's followed up by Wisha, I think. It's in the back of the net, and Brentford have the lead.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Call free 08085 909 693. Text 85058. Text will be charged at your standard message rate. Plus, see our privacy notice. bbc.co.uk/5live.
Good win for Brentford. Christopher Toney was left out of the squad ahead of a possible transfer to Manchester United, Arsenal, and Chelsea fans will be interested. But where would you go, Christopher, if you were Toney? You're not going to say Chelsea because he might go there, not play like you. Go on.
Do you know what? Brilliant interview from John Southall with Thomas Frank, wasn't it? I think if he wants to win the Premier League, go to Arsenal. Manchester United are a big club. Would he play in front of Højlund? Let's hear from Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea fans. Would you want Ivan Toney? Would he be a good fit?
Palace fans won't be happy though, Christopher, is it?
All right. Hello. All right, people. It's all over here. Chelsea, new Manchester City, two guys. And yep, the reigning champions, Manchester City, they have started another Premier League season strong here. Although they actually started the game slowly, but then the guys, they eventually asserted their dominance in the course of the game like that. And they had the clinical finish from Erling Haaland. And then the second half, Kovacic just driving positive. The Chelsea vulnerabilities were actually, they showed. They were struggling at the back at some points in the game like that. But then they also had some moments of some promising moments. During the game. We have Nicolas Jackson had a great chance, and then they also found the back of the net, but then VAR ruled it out for offside. So some moments that they were promising in the course of the game like that. Chelsea, but then guys, Manchester City eventually showed their dominance like that. And guys, so it's a good start here for the reigning champions. They are on the course of making it 5 consecutive Premier League titles like that if they can win this season again. But then guys, Chelsea, under their new manager, they need to improve front, their defense, and also their finishing. They were not quite clinical in front of goal like that, and also their creativity up front was somehow lacking. But then, guys, so Manchester City, Erling Haaland on target. He was clinical finish of me. He has gotten his first Premier League goal of the season like that, and then Kovacic was absolutely amazing in the midfield there for Manchester City. And guys, so lots of positive there for Manchester City to take. It's a clean sheet. It's another 2 goals scored. And guys, hard luck here for Chelsea. They have lost at home, guys, without scoring any more here tonight. But anyway, that is here, Sammy SK Football. I brought to you real on-time scores, real on-time stats, play-by-play ball movement here, and my full-time match reaction for this one. So full-time is just coming in here. It is Manchester City 2, guys, and I'm going to see you on the next one. And the next one is going to be Real Madrid, guys. We want to see what Mbappe is all about, and this Real Madrid side as far as La Liga is concerned like that. So I'm going to go there right now, so join me there for that for the next stream, guys. And so people, that is it here. Thanks for tuning in. Sammy SK Football. I'm out, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Bye for now.